I was going to.
Yeah, you can have it up on the table. Like
the shot coming
you
down.
put it right
like
there
this.
because you can see it right there. It's totally
is it
fine.
blocking anything?
No,
I
it's
don't
coming
wanna
down.
mess
No,
with
you're totally
anything.
fine. Yeah, I
Right.
mean the stickers are here
I'm
as added
so
detail.
glad I cleaned out my storage unit and I got
found
it out
it.
of the box, and I was just so happy. That's why I posted that picture on Instagram. I was like, I'm worthy, because I finally found it again.
Nice.
So yeah, I was pretty happy.
That's
that's a lot of memories on this hammer.
I was gonna say
like
that's
the
Thor
dings and
2
stuff.
where he has to get like worthy again because he couldn't.
Well, that's the original Thor. He loses it and he has to regain it.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, he has
the new one
it
made. When does he have the new one made or something?
Infinity Wars.
Well, yeah. So in the second one, he has it. He has the newer version. In the original one, he had this, and then in Thor 2, he had the newer one with a nice pommel on the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then that got broken in Thor 3, and then Stormbreaker was more made in Infinity War, and then of course.
And then Captain America gets a hold of one. What the hell?
Yeah.
Right.
I
And
thought
then,
it was a
of
good
course,
ending.
Used in tandem, which was amazing.
So, guys, thank you for joining us
Spoiler
for
alert.
spoiler
We're
alert.
just starting right in.
Thank you for joining us here for Tac City Unfiltered episode 7. I am your host, producer Derek. I am joined by owner of Tac City, Sonny, and our guest Travis Lyons, aka Thor. You guys might recognize him from some older air splat videos. That's a name we haven't heard
happened to
in
them?
quite a while. Or even
them around.
some of our kids' boot camps back in the day. He was one of our instructors,
Back in the
and
day.
he's getting back into the sport. And we thought, hey, why not have him on the show and talk a little bit about some stuff that we got going on and things going on in his life, and maybe even some classic airsoft. So with this show, guys, this is your warning. We
warning.
might offend you.
Probably.
We're most likely going to have different opinions, and that's okay. We're not here
Share them
to
in
necessarily
the comments.
please you. Yeah. And but definitely snowflakes if you're watching.
I'm pretty fucking offensive.
There you go. You've been warned. So that
I
is
just
your
got off a
guys'
3-day Facebook ban on my personal page.
You
Facebook
guys have
jail.
been warned. We are getting into this. We do say we're not necessarily a heavy airsoft podcast. We are here at Tac City Fullerton in California. It's not a sunny day. It's actually gloomy out here. I
Yeah.
could say
I wore
sunny
my
in
coat
California. And but so we're going to be talking a little bit about airsoft, maybe a lot more than we usually do on the podcast, because that's one of the big things you are very passionate about and getting yourself back into.
Enjoy it.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
it's-
we can talk about the multi-universe theory.
Well,
That's
I think we're
always-
going to get into that. So I also have Star Wars Land on my brain because I was there on Friday.
Oh, you
That's
actually went?
exciting.
I actually
this is,
got-
okay. So this is the first time I've been excited about Star Wars
Of
for a
anything?
while.
I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. It was awesome.
I hear a butt
With the
coming.
Millennium Falcon.
I hear a butt coming.
It's a very big money grab. The Millennium Falcon is amazing.
I just want to see it. I don't care about all the shops and stuff.
Yeah,
I just want to see the full scale stuff.
I don't know.
You're basically walking a movie set, right?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
kinda what it was like?
That's what it was like. But I kind of wanted no strollers there. I kind of wanted it for myself.
Of course.
That's the
wait,
thing.
I thought they banned strollers.
No,
they brought them back?
there's still strollers. So I guess.
Oh, it's just a
they're-
suggestion.
need to have
No.
suggestion.
We got a pamphlet saying you need.
Yeah.
They're going to start banning and starting of certain size and things like that. There are strollers still allowed there.
You're thinking restrictive. You just got to make the strollers look like the speeders from A New Hope. Luke's speeder, and you just put the kid in it, and you make him narrow.
No,
and then they blend
The
in.
point is,
You
no,
don't
the
even
point
notice
is,
them. You just got a bunch of little Lukes
the
driving
point is,
around.
your kid has legs. Make him walk.
So I think the
everybody
problem.
else.
I think the problem is I wanted the $6,500.
To an extent, if they're able to by their age. Please, let's be clear. I mean, let's be offensive, but let's also be realistic.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
Then try the other part.
I wanted to like climb into the Millennium
walking on their
Falcon.
heads?
I wanted to climb into the TIE fighter that they had there. I wanted the $6,500
Oh, was it like a 3-hour
stormtrooper suit. That no, they're
Wait, can you buy that
they're these-
stormtrooper suit?
Yeah, they have it there.
What
They
is it,
also-
like from the movie?
Yeah, I don't think it's a movie.
It's
I think
just
it's just
made
a
from the
movie
molds.
replica
Yeah,
kind of
of
thing.
course.
They also have, get this, $25,000 R2D2 that you can buy. Yeah. Oh, they know what they're doing. Don't get me wrong.
It better do as much as a car if it costs $25,000.
It moves around. It's robotic. It's cool. I don't know if
Does
I
it open
expect.
up like a wet bar?
No, it doesn't. I don't think it had that
See,
feature
that's
kind of thing.
spent. That's
But-
not even worth it.
It was a lot of fun.
Wait,
I
does
enjoyed
it come
it.
with a C-3PO?
It does not come with a C-3PO.
Because that would be a steal.
Well,
you know?
I mean, so I guess what you could do is you could buy yourself a C-3PO costume.
That's not fair, though, because that's how it worked in the movies. You didn't get
You
one
didn't get
without
one
the
without
other.
the other. It was I don't know if it has set 100% in that I actually got to attend. I wasn't planning to go. I'm not someone who really likes to be on the first hype of a lot of stuff. I like to let it all settle in. And
Why'd you decide to go?
well, the
you
girlfriend is
leave?
a huge Disney fan, and so she wanted to go, and we had a friend of hers that was able to
get. I'm not a huge Disney fan. I am a huge fan of their products.
Yeah, and so she got the opportunity to go on opening day, and because we're moving, it was one of those situations. Do we really want to spend the money on this, or do we not? And so I was like, all right, let's do this. It's going to be one of your last hurrahs before we get out of here, kind of thing. And so we did. It was a little.
How crowded was it?
So they did actually pretty good on maintaining the crowd. So they had these like gaps of 3,000 people that they allowed in at each point. And so what they did is they had an hour overlap. And so we had a time slot from 2 to 6.
So they have time slots.
Yeah, and they were by wristband, by
so
color.
You're waiting in line to wait in lines.
It wasn't actually a really bad line situation.
Is it based on first come first serve?
Yeah.
You getting these slots or what?
It was reservations online from. So the way the friend got it for us was she reserved the hotel for.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So you get there early, right?
Yeah. So she got the Well, not that you got there early. She got the reservation for the park. Because of the hotel stay, it was automatically guaranteed.
But you get there, the park is accessible an hour early.
You can if you're staying at the hotel, but we weren't staying at the hotel,
Okay.
so we showed up and we had our reservations for the actual land was from 2 to 6. So we had to go
The
at
4 hour.
4 hour gap. We had to get a wristband 2 hours before, up to 2 hours before you could get a wristband.
And you get that before you go into the park completely, or just that section?
You had to go over to Tomorrowland. They had a system down really well.
They better, right?
Yeah, and I mean the lines moved really quickly.
That's how they're trying to reinvigorate Tomorrowland. We'll make them go through there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I
to
mean,
get to the new place.
Well, they even did we got on Space Mountain in the morning, and it was all Star Wars themed out Space Mountain. It was pretty cool.
It's
I'm
like
not gonna
their
lie.
big release time, so everything's gonna be Star Wars out.
The biggest thing is everybody was in line for merch. Like it was crazy how much merch
there's probably
was selling.
like first day stuff.
There was.
and-
I'm like, do I really want a shirt? I didn't get.
What'd you buy?
I bought 3 patches. That's it.
If
I bought 3
anything
patches.
about Disney can be said, they know how to market the shit out of anything.
Oh yeah, like
I mean, look at them. They're making us rewatch movies that they already made.
yeah, and it's doing
and
well.
we're doing it.
Yeah, they're doing well.
I mean, I haven't, but again,
I personally
it's
haven't
happening.
seen them. I've
seen the movie already. Like I don't care.
I don't like
You know,
with
I
an
want
actual
what I
real
like
person. Do I
already.
need
Yeah.
it? The Lion King ones kind of got me
Like,
going.
I'll watch it when it
maybe.
comes to. I am getting Disney Plus just because of all the Marvel
Well,
stuff. I have to. I
I
can't not have. I'll be so lost because they're doing the shows and those characters are still going to be in the movies. So
Yeah.
that stuff's gonna.
And
So
now
you're
we
gonna
have
have to know.
the Avengers that have left, and the Avengers are sticking around.
Spoilers
for
again, just in case.
Well, we didn't say who
I don't
left.
know what cave
You say
you
who
might
left.
have been in the
Um,
last month now. Has it been a month?
Yeah, it's a little over. Yeah, but I do want to
that's so
transition a
insane.
little bit here because we're talking about Marvel.
Man.
AKA Thor. How did that name come about?
Oh man, that's a good one. I actually just told someone this the other day. It was
Please tell me you didn't give it to yourself.
no, I did
I was
not.
gonna say
I mean, it's
you can
very,
leave
No,
now if that's the case.
So the nickname that led to it I gave, but I didn't pick Thor for me.
Okay.
So it was Lion. It was the first Lion's Claw I went to. Lion's Claw, right? Lions. or
For
Lion
viewers
Claws?
out there, Lion Claws is a big event that happens out at
Single claw.
Victorville.
Single claw, multiple lions.
big
Lion's
Milsim
Claw,
event for
I always
Airsoft.
get that wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 11, which I think was 2011 or 12, somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like one of my first events. It was when I was first with Crow Sog, the Airsoft team. A lot of veterans on that team. We were a kind of a veteran heavy with civilians Airsoft team. We gave the civilians the feel of the military without the strictness. Like we would have formations at parties we'd throw, and we'd all be holding beers. So we're in formation, but we're not standing at attention. You know, we're giving the experience.
Yeah.
We're just having fun with it though. So we kind of gave them the feel, but without all the you're gonna get in trouble if you move. You know, like that type of thing. So that's when I was playing with them, and this is the first big airsoft event I had been to. And I was.
And where was this one?
This was still up at George.
Yeah, Georgia Air Force
Yeah,
Base.
Georgia
They
Air Force
every
Base.
Memorial Weekend
One
that's
just got
been their
over.
thing. Yeah, this
Yeah.
last one was about 500 plus people
When-
at the event. Pretty big success for them.
I think.
Let me ask you how big the one you went to. How big was it?
Okay, so the first one I went to, I think, was 400. It was like 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
This next one I went to is 3 and 3. There were 600 people
Yeah.
there that time, and
They've
that
had
was
pretty
13.
solid numbers every year for
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
and they hit pretty. But that
Wait, we're talking about that particular Lion's Claw or Lion's Claw in
Lions
general?
Claw 11
So yeah, Lion
was
Claws
was
yeah.
like 400 total, so 200 and 200. And then the next one I went to was 13 2 years later, and that one was 3 and 3. So there was 600 guys, and this area at Lay Rope Off ain't that big. Like, it is a target-rich environment
Yeah.
where you
Lions
have
Claw- wait, okay.
300 people. We held off in that one. A dozen guys held off a building for 2 hours. No, this was an 11. We held off a building for 2 hours where it was just waves of enemies coming because they
300,
couldn't
huh?
get. We're shooting out of gaps and windows and stuff, and they just couldn't get close
Yeah.
enough because they had to traverse this open area.
Back then too, like
Yeah.
I imagine the buildings weren't as trash as they are now, because now people take sledgehammers
yeah.
and
But wait a minute.
like they make
No,
pockets
okay,
and
when you
things
said
like that.
Lion's Claw, I think of the circuit of events.
Okay,
You're
so
talking
this,
about there's one
this-
particular
no,
one.
see,
It's called
Lion's
this.
Claw is an actual. The Memorial
One
Day event is
particular
actually
event.
Lion's Claw.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
whatever. blah, blah, blah.
Operation Lion
1, 2,
Claws
3,
is
4.
I always
Yeah.
thought
That's
about the
only-
circuit.
There's Lion's Claw, Operation Irene. There's
yeah,
Lion's
yes,
Claw,
that's
what
I
Red,
thought you were
Red
talking
Storm.
about.
Or is that no? Is Red Storm Lion's?
I don't know if
know.
that's theirs.
Yeah, I've been out. I'm sorry. I've been out for a while. I don't remember all the
I guess
events.
what I was
I did
getting-
pretty good though.
What I was getting at is I'm trying to figure out what the attendance was for a lot of the Lion's Claw.
Oh, so
themed events,
So it
not
depends
just-
on the AO because they have to limit the size. So like I did.
What's the biggest one you've gone to?
That was the 3 and 3, the one at George.
That's as big as 600
that was
people?
600
600
people. That's pretty
Yeah,
big, man.
that's-
I
it's,
thought I
it's like
remember-
a 2 square mile grid, like a
I
2 to
could've
3
sworn
square mile
he
grid,
used to
and
get-
600 people.
I could have sworn he used to get 1,000 at a couple of these places.
Maybe on some of the
back
East Coast
east.
ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the East Coast ones for sure, like Operation Irene. Like they've got this one that's coming up where it's like the biggest CQB. It's like this old warehouse facility, just massive areas of just buildings with just nothing. Oh, I love George because okay, so 11 when we were playing. I had gone to Route 66, which was at that Rockahula water
Rockahula?
park.
I've
which
been
was
there.
Badass.
Awesome fun time.
That one was amazing. That was only a 1-day event though.
Yeah.
And then so the next one I went to was the actual Lions Claw. So I had gotten my hands on it was the not the licensed Barrett 50 cal, but
The Echo 1?
no, not Echo 1. It was the Snow Wolf.
Oh, okay.
It was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
one literally that was almost exact sized. The only way you knew it wasn't is if you put it next to a real one. I mean, the thing was like 3.5 feet long. It was pretty big. And the funny thing was, it's still just a version 2 motor in it. Like it's
Yeah.
an M4. It's
Well,
basically a huge ass M4.
Are you familiar with CQB Russian? You've got to be, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I used to
So
talk to him all the
yeah,
time.
he
He's
has
great.
one of them HPA'd because
Yeah.
it's just a standard version 2.
That's
he just
what I wanted to
HPA'd
do.
system,
I
yeah.
wanted to do that just for accuracy's sake.
Yeah.
Because I ran to these events, which we can get into. But so I had that sniper rifle with me, because as a sniper, if you designate people on your squads as snipers, they got to leave first. So we did the whole, and they really, I got to give them this.
You get to have radios too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely, I mean, I love the games they play, but I will definitely give them this. They truly honor the veterans when they do these Memorial Day events, which is why, I mean, they have Colonel Danny McKnight from Black Hawk Down. God, there's another Ranger. I'm so mad that I'm forgetting his name right now. People are going to be so mad at me that I'm forgetting his name right now. Mullins.
Oh, okay.
Mad Dog Mullins. Right? Mad Dog?
He's still with.
Yeah.
He does a lot of stuff. Yeah.
But they would be the leaders of each side.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
got pictures with Colonel McKnight.
Max
you know?
Mullen, really.
Max. Yes, Max
he's
Mullen.
still
Thank
attached
you.
to him, yeah.
God, see, I got memory shit. You know, it's part of it. But so I had the sniper over with me because I wanted to leave early. So throughout the day, that thing was and I didn't even have to use it. Just having it on my back made people like, I don't want to find you on the field. It's so funny too because I'm like, you realize like I have to get within the same range of you. It's your M4 in a heavier body.
Yeah.
Plus and minuses with every weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, and
literally,
even back
it was
then,
so windy up there, and usually is, but it was so windy that weekend. I was aiming off the building across the street to arc it into the windows. Like literally,
Serious
you want
windage.
to talk about Kentucky windage? Fuck, I was aiming almost at another building to shoot in the one in front of me.
But how do you know like where it's hitting at that point?
well, that's why
That's
BBs
why
are so
you
cheap.
just kind of pop, pop, pop.
No, but even like this, like how are you gonna be able to track?
Well, I actually had a spotter.
Okay.
So that kind of
Okay.
worked.
All right, that helps.
But so
by
we-
yourself,
see-
that's be tough.
Yeah,
That
so
much-
we got released out. I actually punched a hole in the wall. Talk about.
Yeah.
So I got on top of the building, and they're like, you can't be on top of the building. I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah,
it was
it's-
perfect.
it's
so
the
I got
safety
down,
thing, I get
and
it,
I'm looking
yeah.
at the window, and it's just this big window, and I'm like, if I stick up in the window, I'm gonna be just a target. And I'm like, can I kick a hole in the wall? They're like, we don't care. So I took this big log and smashed out a hole like this big went inside the building, and I've got all the
you
pictures,
go.
like where I'm laying with my 50 cal in my backpack, aiming out this, 8-inch spider hole.
Just off
Yeah.
the hole, right?
And my spotter going, okay, you got to shift, keep shifting. And I'm doing this across this just asbestos and broken glass, just shifting, And so I started calling the 50 cal Mjolnir because it was just got heavy, and I was kept hitting on shit, and but I didn't want to leave it back at
Base camp.
base
Yeah,
because people really didn't want to even find me, and I had a really good advantage just carrying it. You know, the pros were outweighing the cons basically.
Are you allowed to carry another weapon too, or no?
Yeah, I had my M4 on me. Oh
yeah.
yeah, I was,
You can carry as many as you want to carry, but then
Yeah, I
you
had my
carry
pistol.
with
Yeah,
yeah.
I get
I had my pistol, I had my M4, and I had ammo and gas for myself basically at all times in my backpack.
And your spotter is armed too.
And my
so-
spotter was armed, but we would split off sometimes because
like you normally would.
yeah, like you normally but that was fun. But yeah, and actually it's a perfect time to upgrade if I have all the pieces still. It's just a pile. of
I was
parts
thinking
right now.
if you're
So I
allowed to
started
go
calling
way
that,
ahead
and
and have
then over the-
radios,
Yeah.
you can
Oh yeah.
intel and
Yeah.
recon like crazy.
Well, that's the thing. The radios we had at the time were literally just the old
Like
Motorola's.
Motorola's. Yeah.
So you had that range. So once they got on the field, they could communicate with you. But once you got to a certain distance, it was
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah, now nowadays they've got the big UHF Baofeng radios that everyone's
Yeah.
running.
Oh,
They're
I've
like
got one of those. I've got one of those with the Code Red headset, the
Yeah.
throat mic. This thing's
they're like
nice.
$20-$30 for the radio, and
You know
they're
what's so
great.
funny? They play FM too, and that's the only thing I've used that thing for is an FM radio. Because I've never figured out how to program it.
Yeah.
And there's like programs, I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah,
there's
there's
so much stuff you have to do.
There's certain programs that are legal for you to use, and then at a certain point, if you get into a certain bandwidth, you have to have a license for
Yeah,
it. But
it's
they're
scary.
very powerful radios, and
are
so
radio,
for
yeah.
$25, it's
I
amazing, and a
remember-
lot of these airsoft players have them.
I remember having the old big gray. You'll probably remember this. You stay out of this. The old big gray Radio Shack walkie-talkies.
oh geez, like
I had those, and I was
a
at
transistor.
they were like this big, and literally they were like 100 feet,
Yeah.
and that's all.
Yep.
Like,
But
wait,
I went out.
I
back
said.
and- I went back out of my out.
The
of my house, and
antennas
there
were
was a
about
fence,
6 feet tall, right?
For this basketball court behind my house. I would stand by the fence and touch the antenna to the fence, and I would pick up trucker CDs. No joke. Like it would amplify
use the fence.
Now, granted, the truckers were leaving the factory behind the fence, but I mean, you would hear their conversations
'Cause
on
the
this
fence-
little Radio Shack because the fence was just amplifying the radio signal.
I had a
Realistic
legit set of
and then I'm
walkie-talkies.
like, I'm standing next to this, going through my radio.
They required 10 AA batteries to power them.
Oh, I think
Each.
this one was like
and,
8. I
and
think.
they were big,
hefty.
big bricks. And then I had the upgraded model because they had this antenna extension on it, and it was literally a 6-foot whip that like would pull out of this antenna, and you just sit there and you get 100 feet.
Yeah.
And like we thought we were the coolest kids because we could
yeah.
talk across the street and everything. Yeah. But
Yeah, so I started calling my 50 cal Mjolnir, and then over the radio they started giving me Thor as a call sign, and it was a couple of the veteran guys I worked with, and it was still just kind of a group thing. It was just us. I didn't really use it anywhere else. And then John, who was on Crowsog, also known as Air Splat Jake, I think. I just outed you. I think people have known for a while, but yeah.
So Airsplat Jake,
Yeah.
John, was I guess he would be Airsplat's first airsoft
He was their
personality.
first. Yeah, he was their first personality, and
then
he did reviews.
And he had to leave. He went back east to go to school and
Go to
whatnot.
school, yeah.
And
Doing crazy
made
things.
the
Now. It's
introduction.
amazing what he's following him.
to Travis and
I
Yeah,
don't
so
know
we
if I'm
met, and the
familiar
funny
with
thing
him,
is
yeah.
about him and I, we actually were in Iraq at the same time. When I went on my second deployment, he was at Cobb Spiker with. When I say the electric strawberry, all the military people know what I'm talking about. I can't. What is it? It's out of Hawaii. What is it? 20. I don't want to say it wrong. I don't know Army units that well. Sorry, it just didn't happen like that. I was indoctrinated as a Marine. I didn't have room for Army shit. I had too much Marine shit in my head, which is not much, but still. Anyways, so he was actually leaving, and I was coming in with the next unit taking over at Cobb Spiker, and we didn't even know each other then. We become friends on the team, become Facebook friends. I start looking through his deployment pictures, and he's like, Cobb Spiker, November 2008. And I'm like, that's weird. I was Cobb Spiker, November 2008. You know? And we found that out, that we were there at the same time, and then we were ended up on the same airsoft team, just coincidentally at the same time. So when he took off to go to school, he was actually hanging out at my house, barbecuing and drinking one night, and he's like, "Hey, I'm heading back to school. I'm leaving Airsplat, and they're looking for a yes, I will." Is exactly how that happened. And he's like, personality to do videos, and I'm like, yes, I'll do it. And he's like, all right, I'll get a hold of you. I'll get a hold of them. I'll talk to them, and they'll probably be coming and do test videos. I'm like, cool. Now you can still find the videos that are the first videos I did, because the test videos were released videos. And one of them is me on my own with John sitting right across from me doing everything he can to try and make me break. And me just being so goddamn nervous, you can literally almost see sweat running down my... And I'm just like, hi, welcome to Airsplat. I'm Thor. I was like Bobcat Goldthwait almost, like, but like just a lower tone.
trying to maintain.
Yeah, like just try to... And just completely nervous and not even taking... Like, there was a breaking point for me where I was like, there's no one fucking watching me. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Room with
like,
John, that's it.
Like, I can fuck up 5 times.
Nobody really
No
cares.
one sees that.
And nobody really
when
cares.
what they do see is not going to be those 5 fuck ups.
Yeah.
Except when we started adding the bloopers because I swore so much. If you find the Christmas video for one of the years, there's the blooper reel at the end, and literally there is a 20-second beat because I
Just
put so many curse words together after
I think there's a
screwing up a
blooper
line.
reel of his own too out there.
I have a couple blooper
Him
reels
and
after videos.
what's her name?
Yeah.
Kristen.
Crystal worked with me.
No, not Crystal. Kristen.
Yeah,
Kristen the blonde.
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Blonde brunette. I think Kristen. Yeah.
I don't know. She started some lingerie maid service.
She's
But there was a
she's
girl
in Nashville
named
now.
Crystal who worked with me, and she actually
Yeah.
did hosting on the Airgun Network.
Crystal.
And
Crystal,
so she had some knowledge.
so Crystal is our Tac City girl.
No, not that Crystal.
Oh, a different Crystal.
White Crystal, not Asian Crystal. Sorry, can I say that?
Why not?
I mean, I
Oh,
gotta
no,
be
no, you-
specific
no,
right
you
now.
can't
I don't know
say
what
it.
to say. Like, how else do you
I know, I know.
differentiate? I don't remember either of their last names, so I don't have that road.
I don't know about that one.
No, there was a Crystal that did videos with me, like as a co-host, and she did it for
I
a short time.
vaguely remember
I
those
was on my
videos.
own most of the time.
Yeah.
No, it was literally like a few months of videos.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, because
And compared, I don't even think.
Oh wait,
people understand.
wait. So that's
She was a brunette.
She was after
little
Kristen
skinny.
because Kristen was with John.
So it was John and the other girl,
Kristen.
and then me and John, and then just me, and then they brought this girl in to be with me.
I don't remember.
as my
I think
co-host.
I vaguely
and then she
remember
took
you guys
off.
had another girl.
It was so short of a time. It was
Yeah,
real brief.
I don't even remember.
But I mean, she was cool. But yeah, she just ended up doing other things. And most of the time, there was a point like people don't even know. Like, I wish I had more control over that company. I had none.
yeah,
They were kind of.
I was literally just
you were just a face.
a face.
Yeah.
And there are some shitty things I wish I didn't see. And I'm sorry. I did my best, to be honest. I really did. That's why I came up with my beginners intermediate and pro gun system where I would rate guns saying, hey, this like a cheaper gun. This is a good beginner gun because it's cheap. It probably will run pretty good for a little while for what a beginner's going to use it for.
what it is, yeah.
But about the time you're ready to upgrade, it's probably going to break.
Yeah.
And then you got your intermediates, which
And
you
they probably didn't
you
like
know,
that.
Well, no,
Oh.
no, I never said that, but that's how I quantified them.
Sure.
So a pro
But that's
gun
what-
would
but-
be like an all metal gas blowback that shoots, like a branded, like one that's reliable, that has a really
Right.
good customer service.
Reliable and airsoft. I don't think those two go together. Just saying. I mean,
Yeah. You know what's
there's
funny?
a reason why I have a job as a tech person here.
You know what's funny is I treated my KWA USP like a real USP, and that thing functioned like a champ. And the first time I ever cleaned it, I was so scared it would stop working because I'd never cleaned it before.
I'm gonna say you're one of the few that had those working and continued working because
Oh, you
those
know
are
what?
nightmare guns from what I am familiar with on the USPs.
Well, this is the older one.
Yeah, no, I get
Oh.
it. I mean, we see some
Yeah.
crazy stuff come through here.
and
Yeah.
I literally would just, if it fell on the ground, I just put it right back
Just
in the
go right
holster.
through it.
I didn't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
The thing was a tank. I had 4 mags. Well, I got it in a trade. I got it for a trade for a SIG rifle I didn't want
Well,
anymore.
KWA's
Nice.
gone through a lot of different,
Yeah.
Yeah,
lot of things in
different-
over
I
the
like
years.
their
I mean,
handguns.
my-
I
my-
like every handgun of theirs that I've used, I've liked.
But again, I have to reiterate that KWA is not the same back then as
Yeah.
it is now. Some
I
things are
mean-
the same.
Oh yeah, no,
There's
no.
a lot of things are not.
My
Okay.
ERGs are
The
my favorite, and
KWAs
they're
that I
made by
owned.
KWA.
Yeah, there you
The
go.
KWAs that I've owned have
There
been
you go.
great.
Yeah.
I've never had a complaint about the ones I own.
They
Well-
have some good stuff coming out too, but
I've had when I first started working here, the gun that like no one wanted that was on the wall
Yeah,
was
all
the
my opinions are like
PTS KWA ERG, and once I got it, I've had it for almost 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Love the gun. Like it's my favorite. It's my go-to gun. But I didn't do anything to it. I just left it stock, and that's always the tough part with.
there's
this is
the
going
nugget
to
right there.
happen a lot. So
Yeah.
can we just say everything I say about airsoft take 5 years off
Well,
because it's been about that long
that's
since I've been
kinda-
in.
I
Some things
wanna-
are the same, some are not.
So some are,
Yeah.
I know some are completely different. So
But
everything
you-
I say is based
you brought
off
up a good
of
point. It's like you could have a great gun that's stock. It's when people start
all my bolts.
upgrading
People
it.
hate bolts.
Well-
I never had a single bolt malfunction
but
once
it's
with
when people
any
start
internal
upgrading.
part of
No,
that gun.
that's even
When they-
before
The
people
first
start
time I had
start
a bolt
upgrading.
break is when I dropped it barrel first on cement and it snapped in two. My fault, not the guns, obviously.
We actually will refuse service on a bolt because they are just notorious for being.
That's what's
problem
crazy is I never had to
kind of
take
thing.
mine in for anything. And again,
Yeah, I mean,
didn't clean my guns or do shit
Okay,
with my
so
guns. Like, I just-
lesson learned: don't clean your guns, kids. Yeah.
right? Like I don't know. Like it's airsoft. Real firearms. Make sure you clean them meticulously, unless
Yeah.
it's like an HK handgun,
Yeah.
and you can throw it. In
Just
the-
keep going
Or
through.
an
Yeah.
AK, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
Blocks
there
and
are. I 100% agree with you. The hail or holy grail of airsoft to many people are Tokimaruis, and the thing that people will
How
do
many do you see
first-
that are stock?
None. That's the thing.
You know
People will
what's funny
take
is
them
my
apart and I go,
first
"You're not using the
real-
Tokimarui."
My first real airsoft rifle was an old, all like zinc alloy metal body Tokimarui M4, and that thing was a tank.
Yeah.
It had fractures in the body.
And it still kept
And
going.
it still kept going,
Yeah.
and not only kept going, but after repeated drops, the fractures never got bigger. It's like they would hit a certain point
and then just
and just stop. And it was
And
just like,
seal
I can
themselves.
give you that much, and that's all I'm going to give you.
I like to
and
joke.
it was a tank, and I ended up selling it. I actually
Yeah.
made some money off it when I sold it.
I like to joke that there's a special pixie dust inside
But
of
that
those
was-
Tokimarui guns, and they're still today. Like they are solid build guns. They are great if you leave them stock. As soon as you
Well,
change
the
it,
funny thing is that one I got in. I got before I was even in airsoft.
okay. Oh, so you got like a weird come up
And
on
the
it.
thing
then.
is, I got this as a used gun. I didn't
Yeah.
get new. So when I got it, this was like 2006,
okay.
2005, 2006.
Yeah.
That's when Jungle Toy was still around.
Yeah, that's a name I know.
Because I went to Jungle Toy and I was looking at their showroom and I pointed at a metal gun. I'm like, I'd like that one. And they're like, we don't have it. I'm like, why do you have it on the wall? You know, like, can I have the one on the wall? They're like, nope. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why do you have it on the wall? Like, and
Who's on first?
Yeah, so I ended up going and looking online when the online was still pretty new.
Yeah.
2006 was before Facebook still.
Was that before Facebook?
2007 is when it popped.
Close.
Okay.
Like
I think it was around, but it was
I think it was
what's Facebook?
college
still on the
only.
college
It's only
thing,
college
yeah,
campus.
it was
at
What's
that point.
Facebook? Yeah.
Because I mean, Facebook was around at that time
Facebook
because
could have a great relationship. Right
it
now.
was I graduated 2004, 2005, and it was just starting to be a thing on college campuses.
My personal profile picture is currently Mark Zuckerberg in a Nazi uniform.
Yeah, that'll get you in Facebook jail.
Surprisingly, it hasn't yet. Anyways, so I went to do all the test videos. They said, "Yeah, we like you. What name do you want to use? Do you want us to go by Travis?" And I'm like, "No." And it just clicked. I was like, I'll use Thor." And that's where it took off.
Yeah.
Was when they because it was just a group thing at that point.
You didn't have a beard then.
No, I just had like I
You
had the very
goatee
at the very
kind.
first videos I just had like it was like the
chops?
2-week-old beard, like is because I have blonde hair in
Yeah.
the beginning and then the dark hair comes in, and so for 2 weeks even though I have facial hair it doesn't look like I have much facial hair,
washed out.
and then it just poof goes dark,
Yeah.
and then you get this shit.
Well, I would say so. I've been playing airsoft. It'll be about 4 years in October.
I just took 8 inches off
And-
like
oh,
a few months
jeez.
ago. It was I had it almost 1.5 feet long in a year and a half, or about just over a foot in a year and a half.
So that ZZ Top thing didn't work out, huh?
You know what? It was great up until then, and then it was just in the way of everything in my life.
Yeah.
Like
And then-
I'd go to zip up
And-
a sweatshirt
oh, geez.
or unzip a sweatshirt, and both ripped hairs out.
Yeah.
I trying to lay down and watch a movie, and my girl would lay, and I've got to pull my beard to the side, and I would go to lean over the sink, and my beard's
I
in the
know what it
dish,
was.
you know?
You're trying to be a prepper in your food storage.
Right? I knew my beard was getting long when I ate a Little Debbie brownie one night before bed, and I woke up the next morning, and literally a quarter of the brownie was in my beard, and I didn't know until somebody said, "Hey, there's something in your beard," and I
it's
went like
moving.
this, and half or a quarter of a brownie fell into my hand. That's when I knew, okay, it's getting long.
Yeah, it's a little too long.
It's getting long.
But
Anyway, so I used Thor, and I for the first probably year, I did really good. Nobody knew. Like my personal Facebook page was never my
That's always
picture.
the best thing. Keep it separate.
It was so good. I'm not Jim from used to work for KWA.
Oh yeah.
Jim Root. Just a friend of mine outside of airsoft. But when he was still with KWA, and I just, but probably about a year in, we had met through another Facebook group, and we became friends on our personal Facebook page through that group, not through airsoft. I made the connection, but I didn't have a lot of personal pictures up, and I hadn't done a lot of public events at that point in airsoft. And so I started talking to him one day on a messaging, and I'm like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And he's talking to me. And at one point, I'm just like, it'd be great if Airsoft Thor and you could get together and do something. And he's like, "Yeah, that guy seems pretty nice." And I'm like, he doesn't know it's me. And I think I said something else, and I'm like, I just wanted to kind of confirm it, and I did. And I'm like, "I'm Airsoft Thor," and he's like, "Oh, thank God I didn't say something bad." You're like, it was funny, but I did a good job of keeping those two very separate for a while. And I enjoyed it. A lot of things I've done that have been kind of public things in my life, I was able to separate from my
private
personal
life,
life and that. Now it's not such a big deal. I don't care. Like it's super difficult to find my personal page not under my real name. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff, and I'm slowly, my personal page, I'm taking off slowly. Like every day, the memories pop up, bleep, 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 every day. So every day, my pictures just get diminished and posts diminish, and I'd put no more personal information on.
There's nothing
and you
wrong
have
with
to
it.
at least be a friend of a friend, even send me a friend request, and I still get to see it before I say yes. And I put a post a little while ago saying I'm not taking any more friend requests.
I'm a firm
Yeah.
believer that social media and saying Facebook as the number one culprit of social media is the main reason why we have such a great divide in this country between sides, taking sides of whatever issue.
Well-
And the reason why I say that is because when you through their algorithms, if I like something or share something, whatever, they're going to take note of that and basically show me things in my feed that they think I would like or buy, because initially it started off with more about commerce. But what ends up happening besides commerce and politics, whatever it may be, it becomes an echo chamber, and all I see are things that in line with me, and then and people who are the opposite of me see the opposite on theirs.
You never.
And
see
so what happens is
opinion.
it becomes this divide, like you're on this side and you're on this side, and then anytime we interact in real life, it becomes
and
you're on that side.
There's the actual part in your account where you can go through and you can see what Facebook has deemed you, either liberal or conservative, and how extreme. Facebook deemed me an extreme conservative. I don't think I'm an extreme conservative.
You're just extreme.
I have a kind of I'm pretty extreme. I have a fairly middle of the ground view on stuff, but I'm pretty firm on those.
It depends
things,
what you,
know?
But online depends what you like and share.
Case. Yeah,
they base it only on
your
clicks.
friends, or even not even what you do, just what. Yeah, well, especially what you like. Yeah, so once you're and
so
you get
they're
in that
defining
chamber,
you by your clicks, what you click and what you view.
And of course, I have all military friends, which.
But that's just a part. That's just
a lot of conservative there.
That's just a part of you. That's not the whole picture.
Yeah.
But they only base it on your interactions
well, that's why I'm
on the
slowly
computer.
taking all my personal. The only reason I'm even going to keep it up is because I have to keep that up to keep my business, my Mighty Thor, Facebook page up.
Yeah.
Without that, I can't have that.
Yeah, that was the one thing. Like,
Which
I didn't
sucks.
have
You would think
a
you could
Facebook
just
for a
start
long time
business
because
page.
of that.
It's stupid that you have to have both. Why?
That's why I have a Facebook page with my fake last
Yeah,
name.
that's slowly what I'm doing. Yeah, so I'm just erasing stuff, and like I said, I don't even post directly. I just Instagram, and it just out to the world, and all the different sites I have it linked up to, and it's a one picture, one time thing, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's for me. Like I only deal with social media because of the work that I do. Like a lot of the studio work and client.
I've been limiting a lot of my time. I YouTube a lot. I like learning.
I love YouTube. I don't count YouTube as social media though, because it's a little bit different than just that instant.
Although
kind
I
of
have
like
been making a lot of comments that have been getting kind of good traction lately.
Yeah,
on YouTube.
and so comments. That's a whole
whole
nother.
other thing on YouTube.
Yeah, that's
but I've been
a
trying to
whole
be
nother.
positive about stuff.
YouTube is a cesspool when it comes to comments.
Like one of the things I commented on my Facebook page, and then I actually took it and used it as a comment on a YouTube video.
Oh boy!
No, it's actually good. I've seen so many things, and again, in-game spoilers. If you haven't seen it, it's your fault.
Whatever.
I've seen so many things that are just so negative about Thor being fat. And my post was very simple.
It was comical.
Negative.
No,
Funny.
that's the thing.
That's funny.
It's not, but it's not even that. It goes even deeper than that. If you watch how he viewed it, what happened, and his failures, and then what he did and what he became,
The character
I
arc.
saw
Yeah.
myself.
Okay.
I saw myself returning from combat, seeing the failures that I had, eating, drinking, getting fat, and dealing with it with humor. I saw a military veteran in that representation of Thor. This was truly a Thor I could relate to.
Yeah.
And I was so excited for that. And so I made that comment on the
That
video.
must have surprised you like that when you first saw that.
It was immediate too. And I'm not gonna lie. To this day, I still cannot watch that complete unveiling scene of all the people without crying. I get to Spider-Man and break every time.
It's
Tears
so good.
every time. And the first time in the theater, I don't think I moved more than 10 times the entire movie.
You're just glued there. Yeah.
And it was just tears and then smiles and then tears. Oh my God. But yeah, that's what, and it was immediate. As soon as I saw him, and the biggest moment for me was they're laughing and joking, and he's pushing it off, and then Hulk says Thanos,
and it clicked.
and he snaps.
Yeah.
And he has that breakdown moment that's I've had
Yeah.
multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's a flashback, a memory, a failure, and it was an immediate thing. I saw it the first time I saw the movie. I saw it, and I saw that representation. And I know that's not what they're going for.
Well, but
they are going for a warrior that has been scarred by his failures.
And so I mean,
they are kind of going.
They
for
are
that.
going for it.
I'm not saying they're going for like the American soldier.
Yeah,
but I see that.
That's a brilliance
and everything's
of
subjective.
Comic books, though.
But they handle it with comedy, and that's another thing. We deal with stuff with dark humor.
Yeah,
like a lot. I mean, there's so many things I deal with from the military and stuff with just just coping with it, was just to make something that we could laugh about.
This is one of the things that I think with comic books and why these comic book movies have been able to resonate with people who are not comic book nerds or stuff like that, because they're relatable. And that's what
You could watch Infinity War and Endgame. You could watch Infinity War.
Over there.
You could watch Infinity War and Endgame alone without the first 11 or
And
10 movies,
great
and
movies.
you can still just watch it as one whole story.
And
just know because they fill you in with stuff. Now you're not gonna get all the subtle nods that they did for everything, like the "you got it" cap that Wasp says that ties back to her smirking when he says that in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
oh, come on.
Okay, so
Cap,
let me ask you this. Bottom line, did you guys like it or not?
Oh, I fucking
I
loved it.
loved
That movie
it.
was so
Was
amazing.
it the best
blew
one? Was it the best way to
I think
quote unquote end it?
I think Infinity Wars is better, but it's a great end to the face.
This is the thing. Okay.
Yeah,
This is the thing about this is why I agree to an extent, but this is why I think Endgame just goes a little, because everyone went into that movie knowing that almost every single character was coming back.
Yeah.
And I've seen videos of entire movie theaters cheering and clapping.
Oh, yeah.
Every time those reveals come in.
I'm not
and don't get me
knocking
wrong,
that at all.
Infinity
Yeah.
War is great.
Yeah.
But that didn't have. That is the down. You're supposed to leave that movie not feeling good.
It's the
You're
Empire
supposed
Strikes
to
Back
feel
of
that
Star
loss.
Wars.
Exactly.
No,
You're
I
supposed
get
to feel
it.
that loss.
I
Gotta
get
see
it.
the
So,
next one now.
Yeah.
The fact,
This
but
cannot
the thing
end
is,
like this.
But the thing is, Empire Strikes Back was new.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's
yeah.
a canon of comic books that you can literally, the moment they said Captain America and the Winter Soldier, all the nerds like, it's Bucky!
Yeah.
Because everyone fucking knows it's Bucky.
Yeah.
You know, there was the moment they made that title public, you knew who was going to be in it.
Yeah.
So the same thing with Infinity War. Like, you know that they're going to come back. You know that some may, you're going to lose some, but the majority are coming back, and to still get that reaction from people is amazing.
Well, it's just like any movie. I don't care if it's Apollo 13 or any movie that we know the ending. If they can have you on the edge of your seat, knowing by history what's going to end up happening, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
They
Well,
can still have the drama.
Do you think, like, because there has been nothing like this ever in the history of cinema? Well, there's been 10 years of building to this point.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I don't think they're going to do it again.
I don't think it can be repeated.
I don't think
Well, they're going to try because apparently some of those characters are going to be.
I heard a theory the other day
forward.
that I think they're going to go with. That they're going to do shorter multi-movie arcs where they're going to do like 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 movies where that's a storyline, and then 2 to 3 more where that's a storyline.
Some of those characters are still moving
and all
on.
those characters will still
Black Panther.
they'll intertwine, but they're separating, like, from what I heard, they're separating like the cosmic Marvel universe and the Earth Marvel universe, and they'll intertwine. But like Thor and Guardians, that's cosmic. Avengers, that's Earth. But there's that line that they can separate them and create 2 different universes. Yeah. Plus, Far From Home.
So let me.
Even if it's a lie about Mysterio and Far From Home,
the multiverse
is still a real thing in the comics. Why wouldn't they use it? You can explain every acquisition you just got from Fox through the multiverse.
Yeah,
you can do anything. You can do anything. It's the multiverse.
It's a time travel cliche that you can get.
Time travel on steroids. Multiverse is time travel on steroids because you can literally go.
Let me ask you this. So we're talking about Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere there's another conversation where I'm sitting there, he's sitting here, and you're still sitting there. And it's this conversation is still happening. But he was Thor and I was Sonny. This is happening somewhere else, supposedly in the multiverse.
Where has DC gone wrong?
In a pile of shit. That's what.
Where and why? And how does it fix it, or can it be fixed?
Okay, so
I just piss people off.
Because the comics are great.
This is the problem with DC in general. The majority of DC characters, you have very few grounded characters. The majority are gods and these incredible beings that can't be beat except with very specialized things. Marvel, the majority of your characters are grounded, real people. They may have access to
Peter Parker was a nerd who got bit by a
Batman,
spider.
and Aquaman.
No. Aquaman, he can talk to fish.
Yeah,
What's not fucking magical about that?
That's a god. Thor's a god, but he's an alien kind of thing. And
but Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She's a goddess. She was made by Zeus.
Yeah, that's DC.
She's a demigod.
The only real DC that's relatable is Batman.
Batman, Green Arrow, Flash somewhat, but even then, he's still a super being.
Yeah.
But
So you think that's the difference, though?
No.
It's the thing. How can you relate to Superman? Truly,
You
how
can't.
can I relate to someone that
How
can
can
stand
you relate
there
to
and
the
get,
Hulk?
No, I can
so
relate
you
to
can-
Bruce
you
Banner and
can.
getting angry though.
Yeah, you can.
Guess what? I Hulk out a lot when I get angry.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that-
can relate to the fact that that character
don't-
was built on two personalities warring with each other.
Yeah.
I have that inside me daily.
Yeah.
So yes, I can relate to that, but I can't relate to a dude that gets shot in the face and just shrugs it off, because I can't do that.
Yeah.
I would love to. Don't get me wrong, but I can't.
Let's go try it with the airsoft guns. Let's see what happens.
I don't know if that's.
Well,
I
no,
just
okay.
think the
No,
I
you
think
just
the
have these
story-
unbelievable characters
I
that you
don't- I
can't
don't- I don't-
relate to.
Listen, I'm not a comic book guy, but I'm just saying it's
I
the
am.
storylines of the movies.
The
Oh,
problem
see, that's where you go. Okay, so this is
the
the thing
problem
too.
is-
Why is it that? Because DC comics are popular. Don't get me. I mean, you can't say they're not.
Look at what some
And
of the
so
best
I'm-
Batman movies that have been done are grounded Batman
Dark
movies.
Okay,
Knight.
that's
Yeah,
fine. I'm
yeah.
saying in general. Okay, I'm making a generalization. So Marvel made the transition to movies seamlessly, right? Obviously, almost every Marvel movie
because they had
was
a
hit.
plan.
Okay, hang on.
No.
DC,
They had a kind of plan.
you can like or not like the characters in the comic book, but either way,
But this is the thing.
like,
We're talking
why,
about.
why didn't it translate to movies? I think it's
they
'cause-
had 5 movies before they did the group.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so
DC did
here's
2.5,
Here's the
1.5 before they did the group.
Well, yeah. The biggest thing.
well, that was in the
And
the
then
works.
they're like, oh, by the way, here's our solo movies.
that was on their mind for a long time, like the Justice League.
the big thing.
But
that
I remember
happened,
watching Iron Man come out, and then the next year saying, here's our next 10 years of movies. And guess what? They've stuck pretty dang close to that.
Here's what happened.
They've added things in because
Iron-
things did well.
Iron Man was a nobody comic book. It
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
a big set.
He wasn't a.
No.
he wasn't-
Look,
Iron
wasn't
Man-
Spider-Man.
Iron Man wasn't an A.
He wasn't
frame.
Spider-Man.
He,
Yeah.
he was a hero, but he was not one of Marvel's
So, yeah.
A-list heroes.
So what happened was in studio relations and everything, the Avenger characters were not licensed by anybody because
Yeah.
they go, these are all worthless
Yeah.
characters. So what happened was they were characters that they could put their own spin on that no one was going to have a backstory.
Perfect example.
So DC was too set
Here's
in
your
stone.
perfect example, though.
Superman, he's the biggest
Let's
superhero
just-
that people know.
How do you
Let's just do the basic-
change that around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That makes a good
But
point.
let's just do the basic lineup. So you've got, let's do the core of relatability. So you have the Justice League. You have Batman, relatable, yes,
Yes.
agreed.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
I mean, besides being a billionaire.
But besides,
yeah,
but I mean, technically, if you had money, you could do things that
yeah,
he did.
you could potentially be a Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he's a human. He
Yeah.
has no powers.
Yes.
He's trained.
got money.
He's studied. He has money.
Yeah.
But he's still human, so relatable. But then you have a man from Krypton, a demigod, a guy who can run faster than the speed of light and time travel,
Yeah.
and a dude that can swim and talk to fish. On the Avengers, you have Captain America. He's just a dude on steroids. You have Hawkeye and Black Widow, who are just normal people that are good at their jobs.
Yep.
You've got Thor, who's a god, so somewhat unrelatable, but he loses his power and becomes normal. And then you have
Iron Man, who's a billionaire.
Iron Man, who's a billionaire, and then you have Bruce Banner, who honestly, again,
He
is
was
one of
a
the more
normal
outlandish.
person that had
but that
a
he
freak
was
accident.
created to represent
Yeah.
the struggle.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Well, of course, but he was a normal man too, though.
But-
he gained
I'm
something.
just-
But all I'm saying
I'm
is
not-
they have these phenomenal.
I don't think
Of
the
course, you have
relatability.
mystical and
I don't think the
unbelievable
relatability thing
things.
is the reason why one's more successful than the other. I'm not
I
buying
just think
that.
it gets boring when you
Well-
shoot a man 500 times and every time it just bounces off.
It's the
It's
relatability.
like Iron Man, like how many times has he had to change his uniform or his armor
yeah,
to match
but
something? and-
until the last
you
movie,
know.
you never thought he was going to die.
oh no,
None
Well-
of them.
Well, that's the thing though. That's the beautiful
why-
thing
that's
about
why-
that
that's
10-year story arc. Him and Captain America, they do opposite arcs.
But that's why
Captain America
Infinity
goes
was
from
the best
selfless
one
to
of all of them.
self-serving, and Iron Man goes from self-serving
Because they
to
were all
selfless.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
Because they made
That's
him
why
vulnerable.
the best one of them all is that
What?
they were, all of them were vulnerable.
He's saying Infinity
That was the
Wars
best
because
one.
they were all vulnerable
That
because
took away
they had
all the. Because at that point,
their
you
powers
can say
meant
what you
nothing.
want about the relatability. You
Oh,
knew
yeah.
that none of them were going to get harmed or they're going to come back.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
knew
yeah.
that until that point. Like, okay, wait, whoa. Now it's
Well,
just
no,
a click.
and no, but that's all I'm saying is that the whole point of that movie, you were supposed to leave not
Sure,
feeling
sure,
good.
sure.
So to me, because I left feeling that way, the feeling I had at the end of Endgame is going to always trump that sad feeling I had at the end
Yeah,
of
But I'm just
Infinity
talking
War, even
about-
though I knew it wasn't,
That's why I just don't think the franchise versus franchise is because I
well,
personally.
DC just makes poor choices. too.
And that's what I'm saying. I think that's what it is. I don't think.
And that's the thing. It's not
Bad
even
people
DC. It's
running it.
Warner Brothers.
Okay,
DC
that's what I'm getting at, but-
Doesn't
so-
really have too much control over.
So
what
this
Warner
goes back to
Brothers
my
does.
question is I believe it's not relatability of the
And they wanna
characters.
sell toys.
It's how Warner Brothers is presenting the DC characters. the
So,
vehicles.
here's-
Obviously, Batman, and I don't think it's because of relatability. I think to be honest with you,
Oh, I mean,
I think it's because of Christian
I mean,
Bale.
you've got-
Period.
You've got
Because
Superman has been
before
around
that,
since
it was
1938.
Batman was a joke.
Yeah, but
We've got Superman's been around since 1938, so he's technically the longest living superhero in comics that has stood the test of time. And then you got Batman was shortly after that in 39 and Detective 27.
He had the point that makes us. They're so entrenched with their characters that there wasn't much room to you couldn't say all of a sudden Batman flies.
No.
You couldn't say Superman did this or whatever. No, that's not the way it is.
Yeah.
Where the Marvel characters for a certain point were kind of like I said were kind of like
they weren't the big A-lister Marvel.
Well, that's because
you could-
Marvel
you
was
could fill
going
in the
bankrupt
gaps.
and they sold
Exactly.
off most
Exactly.
of
You
their good
could fill in-
properties
you-
because that's
you-
and like
exactly,
you're saying,
yeah.
Avengers
you could
weren't a
fill
good
in the
property at
character how they want it.
Oh, yeah.
Where DC, they're kind of like stuck with, okay, nope, Batman is this. Do what you can with
Oh,
that.
are you kidding me? Do you know how many different characters DC has that they should
Well,
use that are just
That-
amazing?
so maybe that's part of it
characters?
too.
But
They're
that's-
picking
I
the
mean,
wrong
they have
ones.
so, but that's the thing. Like I like
What's that
their
squad?
TV
the
universe,
squad.
like the Arrowverse and the Flash show.
Well, those are
well
great.
done. Those
I'm
are
actually watching-
The
they
TV
just-
series is great.
Yeah.
But they refuse to mix the TV and the movie universe, and then their PG-13 cartoons that they do are fucking phenomenal as well.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
the Doomsday Superman
their animated
stuff.
ones
Their animated
are great.
ones, their PG-13 animated ones are really well done movies.
So there's.
They had one where Wonder Woman straight up strangled a kid. No joke.
I love that.
Strangled a
All right,
child.
there are two characters on the,
Wonder Woman.
in the DC universe that let's talk about, right? And I'm like polar opposite on both of them for me. Shazam, Deadpool.
No, Deadpool's Marvel.
Is it Marvel?
Yeah, that's
oh,
Marvel.
right.
That's
'Cause-
Marvel.
Oh, he
That's
keeps
X-Men, that's
he keeps
Marvel, yeah.
trolling DC.
So the problem
No,
is
Ryan Reynolds played Green Lantern and he played Deadpool.
And- yeah,
so
and-
that's why he trolls DC is
Yeah.
because the Green
Okay,
Lantern
okay,
movie is
okay.
shit.
Deadpool.
like Shazam,
He's
Shazam's
called it
DC,
like
right?
that.
Shazam's
But apparently,
DC, yeah.
apparently, I don't know how much money it's making, but apparently, a lot of the critics love it.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's
Shazam was
actually
great. It was a fun movie.
pretty
This
decent.
is what's
I
crazy
just
about
can't get-
Shazam. It goes from a fun movie to literally a horror movie in the next scene.
Okay, well, I haven't seen it
It's
yet.
great.
So,
I would probably wait. I'm not gonna probably go to the
personally
theater.
haven't seen Shazam either. I kind of not really a fan of DC movies. They just don't.
You know
draw,
what?
The
This one
trailers
was
don't
good.
draw me in.
This one was good. I enjoyed this one.
The girlfriend went and
This is the
saw it
first time
with,
I've enjoyed a DC
one of
movie
her,
and, like, really
our
enjoyed one.
nieces, so
It was
they loved
such
it.
an interesting ride because they had good comedy. They had
See, I
decent
think-
character
see-
building, and then they literally had these moments where you're like, "What the fuck?"
So here's my problem with all these some of these movies is they go too far with the comedy.
Oh, this one balances pretty
Whereas Deadpool, the comedy's there, but it's still still take it seriously.
And so there's
Right?
there's fan service with
Yeah,
Deadpool
but see, you're
because
also
of
comparing
sarcasm,
a character that
humor.
knows he's in a comic book
Yeah.
to one that doesn't.
that.
So
the,
I mean,
the-
you have a lot of liberties with Deadpool. You
Yeah.
can say
Exactly,
so
exactly.
many things with
But with
Deadpool.
like Shazam,
and let's remember,
or-
Deadpool really hasn't been around that long. He's only been
No.
around since 91?
90,
90?
the early 90s. Early
Yeah.
is 90. I think
And he
nine-
was a,
yeah.
he wasn't even a
What was
wisecracker then.
that
He was
squad-
just a straight up
the DC
mercenary.
movie, the squad, the
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one was a movie.
That was
It came out.
trying
It
to
came
be,
out in
trying to be too
theaters,
funny.
I guess. Maybe
Trying to be-
cinemas. Is that too strong a word?
Trying to
It
be
didn't
too
show
funny.
in cinemas, did it? It showed in theaters. It showed in theaters. Now,
here's the
granted,
sad
some of
part.
that was fun, but that was a very poorly
They were trying to be
edited
too
movie.
funny.
So
Too often.
they went through
It was
studio
poorly edited.
problems. They went through studio problems with the director. They had a couple different re-edits. They had a couple different things. The problem is, and what Marvel's done well is they had a plan in
I always
motion.
used to move this back.
No worries.
Is it easy? Oh, there we go.
You've got if they started with the Christian Bale Batman series and built the universe off of that,
Yeah.
I think DC would be in a completely different ballpark right now.
They
But
get rid of the
one
humor.
things
Get rid of the
that
humor.
Made that series so well that it was so grounded in reality. And
But that
where do you
introduce Superman.
So you humanize it.
Where though?
you can do it. You it can be
yeah,
done.
you can, but then you're like,
Humanize them.
Yeah,
but
and-
like you literally, they took these villains that were superhuman villains, and like
Because-
Bane, and they just made him a really
But look
strong
at
dude.
look at
Like,
Smallville.
that's brilliant.
But
Yeah,
you look
Smallville,
at
okay.
Smallville. That's super.
Why are we
That's
looking at Smallville?
no. Listen. Because Smallville humanized Superman, and it was a successful WB show for 6 or 7 seasons. And so you could take that same like aspect, introduce a Superman from a younger version ground him in reality and why he protects Earth, you have more feelings for that Superman. And if you took that same Christopher Nolan like aspect of how the movies were done,
Dark.
But see, that's the
dark-ish,
thing is that's what they tried to do with
Get rid of all the
Man
humor.
of Steel, though.
Too much humor.
And like, Man of Steel was okay.
Awful. No, awful. I
was
can't give Superman because I'm not a fan of Superman. The only Superman I enjoy really is Smallville because it's a little bit more relatable.
Well, Christopher Reeves. Come on.
I can't. I mean,
Oh, well, you didn't grow up in that time, right? It was kinda...
it's not. I've
That's
watched
like going
it.
Batman from the Adam West TV series.
Well, but see, that's
It's like the
campy,
same
though.
thing.
That's a different thing. Like,
Well,
those
that's the
movies
way I
weren't meant to be campy,
That's
though.
the way I feel
Like,
about
the
some of
Christopher
these
Reeves
movies.
were meant to be
Like
serious.
the
They weren't
Shazam
meant to be
trailer,
campy.
it looks campy to me.
Yeah. It's a
not.
little
Like,
hit or
it's-
miss.
Give me humor, kind of.
You know
like
what?
Marvel did a good
wait
job
till
of
it
that.
comes out, but I think you guys will both enjoy Shazam.
I
Watch it when it
think
comes
I'm
on
going
demand
to
or
enjoy
whatever,
it, but
Netflix
yeah.
or whatever. But
It
I
just-
think you guys will
I
Give
enjoy
me
did
it.
sarcasm. Give me the right amount of humor. Like Marvel, they had
Does
just
a
the
good-
right
see,
amount.
That's the thing is Shazam actually does a good balance with the humor.
Well,
Now,
the trailer sucks. How's
but
that?
see, here's the thing.
the trailer,
But the trailer does a
indication
good
sucks.
job of doing something that, like, excuse me.
Putting me to sleep is what it did.
No. But that's the thing, though. What would you rather have? A trailer that doesn't reveal everything, or the one for Batman vs Superman that literally
No, I
gave
want-
you every movie plot point in order?
I want a trailer that
in
that
order
won't be,
for its trailer,
Yeah.
from beginning to end, every major plot point in order. That's your trailer.
I want a
You didn't even
movie-
need to go to the theater.
I want a movie that my 10-year-old
Here,
nephew won't see.
here's the other problem that DC is having
I want
right
a
now.
serious movie.
Is that
Well,
we
I'm going
can't.
to say there's some parts in Shazam that the kids probably shouldn't have seen, and they didn't know were
This
coming.
looked dopey to me. That's all.
Well, so here's the biggest problem that DC's having right now is all the character rewrites and character changes that we cannot. For 10 years, we fell in love with Robert Downey Jr. When again,
Yeah. Well,
spoiler
that's the
alert,
thing.
when he dies,
Yeah.
it is very, very
Like I
like
said, tears,
holy
man. I
crap.
cried.
Like
I don't
I
care.
appreciated the effort that they put into that death. It was amazing. And that was 10 years earned. And so you have Will Smith, who just is backed out, and now you have Idris Elba going in for Deadshot, right? I think I don't even know if that's the right character, but they one movie
Well,
and
he's
now
not
you're
playing
switching.
Hemdall anymore.
You're playing you one movie and you're already switching characters. You have Batman, who we just got introduced to, Ben
God.
Affleck, and now it's Robert Pattinson is going to a Batman.
Pattinson.
Oh.
Sorry
Pattinson?
that I know that.
Yeah.
Sorry that I know that. I'm so sorry that I know that.
So
Is he a vampire?
You're expecting for us to feel for
Yeah, you're right.
you're expecting for us to feel for these characters. Christopher Nolan's Batman. I loved it.
Can he
great.
duplicate it? Whoever wears the suit.
But that's the thing. I'm never going like. I appreciate the Batmans that came before. I appreciate it's standing on the shoulders of giants. But Christopher Nolan was the peak of Batman.
Sure.
There is
Absolutely.
nothing that's going to come
Absolutely.
after this that's going to make
Everything
me feel.
before that was campy
I throw
and
an
over the
argument.
top.
I throw an argument that
You're wrong.
without-
No.
Right? Wow. I throw out my argument that without the at least at minimum the '89 Tim Burton Batman, without that we would not have Christopher Nolan with his view on it, because without that dark Batman, all we had prior to that was the '60s.
Well, no, I'm
campy
not
series.
knocking
So
before.
no, I'm just saying
yeah.
that there was like that was the
it got
first
us started.
catalyst.
I'm saying like
That
we,
was the first catalyst, and then this was like the finishing of that.
Mr.
catalyst.
Freeze.
be,
Well, let's not. I mean, George
Because-
Clooney has already
no,
apologized about that
I'm
movie.
totally because of those Batmans. We've got what we got. I 100%
Oh, yeah.
agree.
Well, no, I mean,
like I said,
again,
standing
just-
on
I'm sticking with
shoulders
this.
of giants because
I
those are
enjoyed
great.
Batman Returns.
Light years ahead now.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Batman Returns. A lot of people don't like that one.
Yeah,
I liked how dark
so
that went, but
it's-
McDonald's
I mean,
didn't
it
like
has
it
to be
because they
dark.
couldn't sell Happy Meal toys.
It's a nostalgic thing for me. I because I was younger at that time. I maybe 9, 10.
I just love Danny
I think-
DeVito as a penguin. He
Yeah,
was great.
no, it's great.
How'd you
Danny DeVito's a
how'd you guys like Aquaman? I was actually surprised. I liked it. Okay. I thought I liked it enough.
Didn't watch it.
Haven't
I-
seen it.
I was
So-
surprised.
See, that's what I'm saying. I haven't seen Aquaman. I saw Wonder Woman, which I thought was well done.
A lot of people
I did
say
not
it's
see
great.
Aquaman, and everything I heard about it made me just reassured me that I made the right choice.
I actually was surprised that I liked it.
My-
The only thing I can say about Aquaman towards the back end, it was starting getting too fantasy-like underwater, like the realm of, but everything above the water and kind of like on the surface and interaction with that was what's his name, Jason.
Jason Momoa.
I thought he did a good job.
So for me, my biggest thing is the movie. If I want to, I'm like Marvel. I'm going to support Marvel. I'm going to continue to put money into them. I will continue to go to the theaters and support them. I will continue to buy the DVDs.
Remind me, just add on to that in a second.
DC, honestly, I bought all the Nolan.
Oh yeah, the Batman.
I have them.
I love those. Yeah.
I haven't bought anything else. I haven't gone to the movie theater. I'm not going to support it, and that's because that's not what I want in my movie theaters. That's not what I want. So why am I going to support that kind of stuff? I will support plenty of other movies, but I'll wait for it to come out on HBO. I know they'll get a cut that way. I understand, but I'll wait. And even then, Wonder Woman came and gone, and I'm
See,
like,
a lot of
I'm
these comic books, other than the classic ones, I don't. I'm a fresh audience, so I don't know the history of some of them.
Okay, so all right.
I'm
So
like a blank
this is
slate.
what I wanted to add on to that. Since we were
Go ahead.
talking about it. There was one thing, and this is going to get a little serious for a second. So there's another reason why I think Endgame really resonated with me so much. And I'm not saying Infinity War and the previous 10 movies aren't the same. They all are. They all
have
they
their
all
own.
have if what I'm about to say, they all have this. But this, and just because of the numbers Infinity War put up,
Yeah.
what I'm about is truly going to be a big deal. So, growing up in junior high and high school, I was bullied a lot. I was a
person of
6'2".
your size.
Oh no, hold on.
Okay.
I was 6'2" at 155 pounds. I was
Oh,
about
yeah.
as skinny as that hammer.
Yeah, you
Okay.
get bullied.
You were a twig. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
And I didn't play sports.
Okay.
I was in band. I played saxophone. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Okay. I'd bully you too. Yeah.
And then, I played sports sometimes. I did play football for a year, and then I did some other stuff. But mainly, I was into comic books and stuff, and I got all the time bullied. I mean, physically, verbally.
Yeah.
So Thanos
my
resonated as a
senior
bully
year.
for you.
Well, you know that line in Captain America where he's like, "I don't care who it is, I just don't like bullies."
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, I just don't like bullies.
Fair enough.
So, but this is the great thing about that. So, I have loved comic books probably, since I was in my single digits, 9 years old. I first got introduced to Batman. So, pretty good introduction to comics, especially in the late 80s, early 90s.
Frank Miller is my
And
favorite
then
Batman.
the next introduction I got, my Adam West Batman.
There you go. Okay.
The next comic I was introduced to was The Punisher,
Jeez.
which became,
actually
he
have
is
a
my
Punisher.
favorite Marvel
I have
character.
a comic
Okay.
book with Punisher
I
versus meets Wolverine.
I have so many Punisher comics. I have his first appearance, Amazing Spider-Man 129. I own a copy. I have about 3 display case shelves full of Punisher toys, all different types. I have a play set that was only released in Spain, and it's a Punisher play set, an entire warehouse.
What did
play
that
set.
cost you on eBay?
Retail price.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Not too
actually
bad.
met an American guy married to a Spanish woman who was living in Spain, and I met him through some other transactions, and I'm like, hey, can you find one
Hook
of
it
these?
up, man.
And he literally put it up for me to bid on and buy.
Nice.
This is a long time before they did a lot of the buy now stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything. So anyway, so Punisher has been he's been my comic character for the longest time. Like I have so
talk
much.
about
I
that.
have like 15 different Punisher skull shirts just because they're different versions of the skull.
Yeah, yeah. So we
The
have
only
some...
reason I don't have a Punisher tattoo, well, one, I'm getting it put on my comic sleeve, but I've always been like, I don't want. Everyone does it, like, and especially now with the military, everyone's been using
Chris
it.
Kyle,
and
yeah.
I don't, and nothing against that.
Yeah.
I don't like the Thomas Jane Punisher skull. I'm just gonna say it. I
Okay.
love the movie. Don't like the Punisher skull. I
Okay.
hate it. I
Yeah.
hate that one. I like the old school one. I love the one they did in the
Netflix?
Netflix series.
Yeah.
That was badass. I like the old school. If I get a tattoo, it's gonna be that old school round block teeth. I like that one. I like the Tim Bradstreet one too. The painted covers where it's just that long,
Can it...
real thin.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got introduced to Punisher and then just comics in general. And then I kind of got out of comics and got more into action figures. Now I have a huge action figure and toy collection. There's all kinds of shit. I'm currently working on getting the Hot Toys Frank Castle as War Machine. It's a 1/6 scale with him in the War Machine armor with the Punisher skull on the front and on the helmet. Light up eyes, all the guns.
One of my first shirts when I played paintball in was a tie-dye shirt. I cut off the sleeves. It had a white Punisher on it, right?
See, that's why
No, but
that's
guess
why
what?
I didn't get the tattoo.
I'll get a little-
That is why I didn't
No,
get a
wait,
Punisher
You
tattoo.
just admitted to wearing a tie-dye shirt.
But this is why. No, but there's
I
always
now
a method.
have it on record.
Listen,
That's a make war, not peace, man.
but listen. This is a reason for that. Think about this. It was paintball, right?
Okay.
Multicolors.
Hits. You didn't have. You cheating bastard.
No. I'm just
No,
saying.
no,
It was hard to kind of see.
You call it what you want, cheater.
It was hard to kind of like they could say, "Hey, see his? Well, look, take a look, take a look." I was a ref's
Strategy.
nightmare.
Okay.
You know,
all
technically,
right.
if this was real war and you hit my gear, it might deflect, so you didn't get me.
So,
What are you
Derek,
doing
I'm
over
killing it.
there?
Jesus.
so when they hit the white skull, that's where the paint would show up.
Oh man.
You know, that's why he does it.
Yeah.
It's to draw the fire to his body armor.
Yeah.
And that's
makes
the
sense.
whole reason because initially when he started out, it was just under the skull is where the protection was because he didn't have a lot of stuff, so he just had armor under the skull. But that was kind of the artist's choice. And so he wore the skull so he'd get shot in the armor. And then
can
they're like, well,
naturally draw
why
it.
wouldn't he have it everywhere?
Yeah.
And so they just put it to where, and now he's more militarist where he actually has like plate carriers
Yeah.
and shit again.
Yeah.
That Netflix version is
I always liked the skull when he had the belt because the teeth were like
right into the
pouches
Yeah.
that were part of it. I like that version too. That was the Warzone John Romita Jr. His dad John
was like-
Romita
there was
helped
like-
create the Punisher.
Weren't there like four movies?
No, okay.
How many movies?
You want me to hear this one? So yeah, in the 80s you had Dolph Lundgren. Terrible movie.
Yeah. Well, they're all. Okay, go ahead.
Watch
Yeah,
it.
I think they all were terrible.
Dolph Lundgren is very terrible.
Nicolas
He doesn't even
Cage?
have the skull. No, what? No. It's Danny Glover or no, I'm sorry.
Glover.
Not Danny Glover. Louis Gossett Jr. was in the Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren.
Okay.
He played the cop going
I know
after
I've
him.
seen it. I know I've seen it.
Yeah, so that was horrible. He didn't have the Punisher skull on his chest. It was on the end of his knives. He'd stab into the people he killed.
Yeah.
It was a good action movie for the 80s, but it
For the
wasn't
80s.
a Punisher
Yeah, for the
movie.
80s, right.
Yeah. I didn't like it compared to the story because his family got blown up in
There
a
was
car.
the Thomas Jane. There was the Ray.
Thomas
what's his name?
Jane was good as a year one Punisher, but I hated the fact that they killed his whole family. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, that's a tension getter.
Like, well, yeah. But I like the fact that the bad guy was just a mob boss. Like, that's the most of the Punisher comic. He doesn't have, like, these crazy villains. They're just bad guys.
I mean, most of like
And then the Ray Stevenson was literally the Punisher stepped off the comic book page. He looked like the Punisher. And they did the story right. He was a Marine, not in the Army. His family got killed in the park.
Not in the Army.
You know.
He was a Marine.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That Thomas Jane one, he was, and I get what they were doing because the time that came out was still the Iraqi war. So he was a Middle Eastern war veteran, and so he was Army's and counter-terrorist, and Marines didn't have a lot of that, so they go what Army does. So you know, obvious choices, and then of course FBI and
Marines are
stuff.
just a bunch of grunts.
Yeah, it's fine. So then but the Ray Stevenson was great because it was like he stepped off the comic page, and it was a good, like they trained. If you watch the firefight scenes, like they trained hard,
have
and
to
they used airsoft guns.
might have
If
to
you watch the
revisit.
behind the scenes,
It's
they've got this old Marine dude that's literally got like 34-inch biceps, and he's like, this is how you shoulder an M4. And he's literally just able to pinch it between his bicep. And he's like, you push the door open, and he's like this tall. And the dude's teaching him how to do room clearing. And they're doing it with airsoft guns.
Where'd you see this?
This is on the special features of the DVD for the Warzone movie with Ray Stevenson. They put him through hardcore training. And if you watch that hallway firefight scene at the end, it is fucking beautiful. Besides the fact that he launches a 40-millimeter grenade and it goes off 3 feet inside of a room for no reason. Just 3 feet.
yeah.
I could have sworn there was a.
Everything else is pretty how he met his magic. The fact that he has the sight at the end of his rail. He has a red dot sight, but it's the end because you're minimizing the distance between, just the small choices like that.
The amount of times I try to explain
realistic.
that to these kids. Yeah. My is as far comfortable that I feel like, okay, it looks decent. I push it up and they're like, why do you have it so far?
Well, the great thing about his was his just one of those
little like micro little things. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's all you need, really.
My
You
reel,
just need a
I've
dot.
got mine 45 at the very tip of my on my real one, kind of thing. I've
So,
got the 2 times on the top,
That
kind of thing.
firefight scene is very well done,
Yeah.
and a lot of the firefight scenes in that movie are well done because they were choreographed by people who knew what they were doing. In fact, that Sabotage movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger that did horrible. It was like they were like drug enforcement agents and they
think I
stole
remember,
money
yeah.
and then they all turn on each other and start killing each other.
I think
And it's just a horrible fucking movie. But they brought in fact, one of the consultants was the dude that draws the Terminal Lance comics. He was one of the military consultants. And if you watch them doing room clearing in that movie, it is fucking spot on.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie shit around it, and I wouldn't recommend watching it. But if you just go, I'm sure you can find just those. They hands on shoulders, clearing, calling out stuff. It's nice, and it's because they got people that knew what the fuck they were talking about.
Let's.
I was just. You're thinking what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I think I'm thinking what you're thinking.
Frontier, Netflix.
Final Frontier.
No. Frontier.
Crap. It's a
The
new,
Netflix movie.
it just got released.
You have
on
Netflix. You have Netflix, right?
You didn't.
Yeah,
I
Tri-
take
Triple.
Oh, Triple Frontier with Ben Affleck. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. We've
That was
both
so
of them.
disappointing.
Good
Are you
thought-
serious?
Good thoughts. Go ahead.
Hey, I mean,
'Cause
we're
we
just
broke this down
assuming
in
that this
one
probably
episode.
wasn't watched by too many people. I don't know how well it's doing. I thought it was great, right up until Ben Affleck got shot like a bitch. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Watch your six, for real. Had there supposed to be these super specially trained super soldier guys, and they didn't even think. You've got high ground behind you.
Okay.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You're talking about up to that point? I'm talking like way.
Oh, no.
earlier before that.
I mean, the movie was just trashy.
Like for
anyways.
instance,
But Jesus
I had a
Christ.
friend that brought this up to me, right?
I mean, I've only watched it once, and the most thing I remember is
So-
him looking back.
Okay.
That's one thing I
a
remember.
couple things.
And his friends being sad because they have to leave them money to take his body. Jesus Christ.
So a few things. One, with the Charlie, the guy from
In the Chocolate Factory. Oh, sorry.
Sons of Anarchy, right?
Okay,
So
yeah,
he's in the beginning. He's a captain, right? And he addresses Affleck as a captain, and they're supposed to have been in the same unit. How does that work?
That was a
They
writing
both
error.
address each other as captains, yet
It's
It's a
Affleck-
Captain. It's
okay,
a Captain
it
Morgan
depends on what
commercial.
they meant by same
Everyone's a
unit.
captain.
No, hold on. It depends on what they meant by same unit. Because if they were in the same company, so a company
they were
is
in the
generally
same-
a captain, a company commander. So they could be in the same battalion and
Not
both
to
be company
mention,
commanders.
how old
No,
is
this the
Charlie
thing.
in the movie to be a captain?
Oh, I don't fucking know. Oh, captains are young, man.
Not that young.
Oh, come on.
No.
You can okay, so if you get a 4-year degree, so you read
If,
right out of high school.
if you're,
no, here,
if
listen
you're in
to this out.
combat and everybody's
If you-
getting knocked off and flies,
No,
yeah,
but
sure,
listen,
they're captains.
no. If you get a 4-year degree, say you leave high school, you get a 4-year degree, right? And you immediately, you already know you're doing the military, and you go officer immediately after the 4-year degree. So you're a second lieutenant. It is, captain is the last guaranteed rank. So you go second lieutenant is your first rank, first lieutenant is a year, captain is 2.5 years. If you don't do anything wrong, you're guaranteed captain in 2.5 years. That is 6 years after you leave high school.
So I mean,
6 years after you leave high school, you're a captain.
that's at 24.
And then you have to start working because your next rank major, you actually have to earn.
But again, there's two captains.
Sorry, captains,
There's-
lieutenants
there's-
out there.
There's two captains in the
You
unit.
rely on your NCOs.
There's two captains. I'm not.
No,
buying
okay,
that.
so
I'm not
that's
buying
what
that.
I was saying. If they were in a battalion, they could both be a company commander of a company within that battalion and know
But
each
they're
other
supposed to
because
be-
they. But that's the thing. If they're company commanders, they would work closely and they would come up in the ranks together. So they would have started out as second lieutenants together, and then they would have promoted up and they gotten different responsibilities because they would have to branch off. They could be second lieutenants together in the same platoon, and then be first lieutenants of the platoon leader of a first lieutenants each in the same company, and then be captains of a company within the same battalion and have come up together from day one and still work with each other on a regular
the way
basis.
they
So
said
they
it
could definitely have
Is that
had
their
a long
their
relationship.
core group has always worked together closely. You
Well, it
wouldn't
also
have two
depends on how
captains
they got.
within.
It also depends on how they got promoted. One guy could have been enlisted and gone warrant officer and then got commissioned. So he could have been one guy commissioned captain, and then one guy came up later in his
I'm
career
still not
and
buying
got.
two captains.
So,
in there.
well,
I mean,
I
that's-
mean,
I'm just
Is
saying
it
there is ways
poss-
around
I-
it.
I find
Is
it
it
possible?
bullshit? Yes.
Is it
Is
possible?
it possible?
Okay,
Yes. Is it
fine.
bullshit?
Probable?
Yes.
No.
I
It's
find
probably
it very
not, yeah.
funny that it's like the captain is the part of the movie that really
but here-
irks you the most.
No,
I don't
that's
even,
one.
you know
No,
what?
that's
You know what
one.
the crazy thing is? I didn't even know that.
Right.
I didn't even
well,
pay attention.
somebody brought it to my attention. But here's another thing. Okay, so Affleck, right?
Yeah.
He's He's the one that
Didn't he direct this too?
He's the no.
I think he
no.
Was he a producer?
He might have been
Either produced or
So,
written.
so
or
he was the
directed or
linchpin. They wasn't going to do it unless he was involved because he's
Right.
he's the planner, right? He's the
Right,
master
yeah.
planner, detail. You know, he's the guy, right? So they convince him.
My
okay,
boy's
fine.
wicked smart.
So okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it my way. Blah 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 blah. He sees the money in the walls, and all of a sudden he just goes, you know, one more time. We're gonna get one more load. I figured it in. He lost his mind. Come on, really? Right?
Yeah, I know, right? Someone to break so easily.
The
whole movie's
third thing. Why is I brought this up before? Why is one of the guys in the crew walking around? They first of all, in the shipping container, right, when they get all the guns, the guy says, I amassed all these guns, you know, blah blah blah. And so when they're all geared up, ready to go into the house, right? Why does one of them have an AK?
Can I put this on record really quick?
Why does one have an AK?
I have no idea. They
But
like
you,
it?
but you know that.
I don't know.
You should have the same mag.
I know guys that would take AKs over M4s.
But
I'm not saying it's right.
you go down, you run out of ammo, you're screwed.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not saying it's right.
Like, these guys
that was the one thing that our airsoft team did that was realistic. We all had M4s and we all had similar pistols because we could swap mags.
Yeah, so these guys should know that,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah. Well, again,
This guy-
shot
one
from
guy-
behind, from high ground, directly behind you. I think we've established he's not a very good planner.
And then
at
they
this point.
finally get out.
Well, at that point, at least.
They finally get out to plan B, plan C. You know, 'cause the things.
Yeah.
And next thing they're in the Andes in the snow. What happened? Where did all this gear come from?
Can I just go on record and saying something?
Yes.
If we're ever in a situation where we go to another country, and this is anyone out there that wants to join me for this, and steal a bunch of money from a drug lord, and I get shot, you fucking better take that goddamn money and leave my body there. Why the fuck do you take the body home? That's not doing shit for you. You take that goddamn money and you leave my lifeless corpse because I'm not part of it anymore.
Yeah.
You use that money, you give it to my kids, you give it to my family, you use it for fucking your own self.
get out.
Fucking leave me. Don't fucking drag my body across the fucking country.
Yeah. Hide me somewhere, bury me real
Yes,
quick.
yeah.
Take
Hey,
your
you know
piece.
what?
Good to go.
Fucking
Take my
the
tags.
mo. Take
The
the money.
movie is not designed for military people to watch. The movie was designed
Apparently.
for
Well, the-
Netflix.
High ground behind you, yes.
Because the idea I think they were trying to portray was the honor of the
No, I
thing.
get that.
But
I know, but
from the
if
tactical
you talk to
aspect,
some
from the
pretty
military people
realistic
from-
military people in a situation like that, I guarantee you the answers will be pretty similar to
well,
mine.
I mean,
Where all
I
this
mean,
gear come from?
maybe try for a short
Where
time.
all this gear come from? All of a sudden, when they're hiking in the Andes, all of a sudden they have thick jackets and they didn't pack any food. All of a sudden they're eating. It isn't like a 2-hour hike over the mountains and you're out of the country, right?
Yeah, it just seems. Yeah.
And then and then they throw the money in the canyon, right? And I'm thinking, okay, keep track of where you're at, you know, the GPS, whatever. Because at the end of the movie, right,
Yeah.
the thing with the note, right? Says, what the fuck? You had that the GPS. Why are we giving up? You know, you could have just went back to get the money.
Yeah.
It was a flawed movie from the get-go. Come on, guys. I mean,
Or in the beginning.
As I like to say, from credit to credit.
Even the beginning when the one guy who was they were attacking the.
You're really making me stretch right now because I really don't remember the beginning.
the,
Again,
they
Ben
were
Affleck,
saying
bullet,
they were,
dead.
They were,
that's the only
That's
thing
what
you
resonated with me.
one of the guys was working with a local SWAT team, whatever, to attack this like drug house.
Yeah.
Right, and they're on a rooftop.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
surrounding,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And so all of a sudden they start firing back, and so you think, the guy says, "Okay, come with me." It's like, okay, he's gonna do something crazy. He's gonna somehow, take this house down, and all he does was flank him with a grenade launcher or whatever. And that was just like, that's it. That's how.
Couldn't we have done that from where we were
Yes,
at?
I was expecting something more creative.
Like,
or
you can get distance
out-
with those
out of the
grenade
box,
launchers, right?
Kind of out of the box. I mean, you just flanked over here and shot through a window. That was it. It's like, geez, wow, okay, you're smart.
I mean, it was a small budget film.
I was expecting
it wasn't
Well,
as
it's
big,
Netflix. It shouldn't be
but
small budget.
no, it's still.
I don't know.
It's still
Have you?
small
I
budget.
haven't seen it yet, but there's that new one with Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson where
I
they're going
liked it.
after and Bond. You liked it?
I liked it.
See, that's the thing. They put that out, and then they also put that out.
Yeah.
They're like,
It's always a hit and
Well,
miss.
so I'm gonna defend Netflix here. The
I love Netflix.
the
Don't get me
multi-billion-dollar company needs my defending. I mean, they have millions of viewers that are sitting there, and they're like, we're not all gonna enjoy the same movie. Like, come on, let's be real here.
No.
Yeah, and so like they're gonna put out a
But
few
you can
movies
still
at the same time.
appreciate a well done movie.
Yes.
Like I
okay.
cannot like a movie and still appreciate that it was a well done movie. Like, hey, guess what? I'm not a fan of The Notebook, but I've watched it because you know what? It's a well done movie.
I will say
it's a stupid premise.
I
what
watched.
it is,
I
but
watched the.
it's a well done movie. Cinematically, it was shot well. Gone
I
with
watched the
Wind,
movie.
You know.
Yeah, I watched the movie. There were some great cinematics. There were some
Yeah.
great things about it. Were there flaws? Yes, 100%. Was it a movie that I enjoyed to watch? Yeah, not bad kind of thing. But
It seemed
there was
like
things that it was
Ben
rushed.
Affleck wanted to take a vacation in Colombia.
Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna have
I mean,
military guys in the characters. You're gonna have advisors on the set that should be worth their salt. Now, granted, some of these guys, I'm not gonna throw any guys on the bus, whoever they may be, but they may have said, no, you can't do that, and you can't wear this, and this is how you hold it. And the director, he might have been overruled, right, for cinema reasons or whatever.
Yeah.
Fine, but no advisor worth his salt is gonna let some of that crap fly.
No.
yeah. As far,
But he may not have a choice. You know what it's like on the set.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
a production thing. There's limitations. There's stuff. There's budgets.
But you know, military
it's a-
guys are going to look at it and
But
break
see,
it
those
down.
things don't matter to the story. Those are the things you should get right because those are the things you can get right without having to ask anyone. Like it doesn't change the story how the dude holds his gun properly or improperly. Like the story will look better if he's doing it properly, and people will tear it apart when he doesn't.
The
so
classic
then, what do you
one-
want? You know, like
The classic one is Bruce Willis with the red dot on backwards. Like you
Or plate
it's
carriers.
rising sun or
Well,
plate
they have the
carriers.
handle in the front.
Yeah, and like there's plenty of stuff because they
Come
don't
on,
have the
man.
right people on board. Again, I don't know the credits. I don't know who was assisting. I don't know the depths of it, but I imagine it wasn't the right people because they made some choices that it's like, or because they made those choices, like you're saying, the director goes, no, I want it to be like this because I have a vision of how
But
the
don't
movie
you
should
agree that most military people, guys, ex-military or guys who are in that realm or no guns and gear, they're going to look at it, and the minute they see more than one flaw, that you're kind of going to go, okay.
But here's the thing. And one of the arguments for the AK is
No,
because it
You could
looks
overlook a
kind
lot.
of,
You could
kind
overlook
of
a lot
because
at
I
one
can
point.
like the Expendables. None of that movie's.
Yeah,
but I
you
can
kinda
enjoy
know
the
what you're getting
shit
into.
out of those
You know what you're
movies.
getting
Yeah.
into, though.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I-
that's what I'm saying. When it matters, you should do it because it doesn't change your story. It just makes it look better. So if you want that in your story as a realistic part of it, like
Triple-
this movie should have,
Yes.
you should do the training and have it done. Even if it's just, hell, give me 2 days. I will show them how to hold a gun properly and I can show you how to do a very basic room clearing that'll look good on
Look
camera
at,
in a day.
Lone Survivor.
Give
they,
me
they were on point.
Dave.
John Wick is. I mean the
Training.
Yeah,
That is,
his
well, I mean,
training and
but I
his
think
stuff.
Keanu Reeves has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, but
Like, I don't know if
even
you
then-
know what Tom Hardy wanted when he signed on for Bane. So Christopher Nolan went to him and said, look, I've got a character in mind, and the only thing I can tell you is going to require you to wear a mask for 6 months. And Tom Hardy said, I'll do it for two things? 3 things. 2 or 3 things. One of them was, I want all the martial arts training. Oh, yeah, 3 things. All the martial arts training I want. All the martial arts and workout training I want.
yeah.
All the weapons I want, and all the Nolan time I want, which means he wanted to be able to talk to Christopher Nolan at any time during production and be able to ask him stuff and do things.
Yeah.
Those are the only things he asked for, without knowing anything else except the fact that he was going to be wearing that mask. And I enjoyed that movie. I thought it was a brilliant performance. I liked the voice. I'm going to go on record saying it. I thought it was
I'm
great.
right there with you. The
thing is people don't realize what he was going for.
Yeah.
If you listen to him in interviews, he's going for a specific sound, and he did it.
No, I think it was.
So
I think it was
you
great.
know,
But
yeah, so-
we go into the nerds and the fandoms and things like that we have a specific idea that we want to see.
But if
it
it's
when
spelled
not
out
like
that
it.
you have to do it this way, then don't do it that way. Do whatever your interpretation is.
Here's
Right?
the thing I love about comic books is that every single comic book out there is not one writer for Spider-Man out there. There has been multiple
Versions, right?
versions of Spider-Man. There has been multiple
Well,
versions.
artists,
I told you,
writers.
Which one is the right one?
Frank
There isn't.
Miller is my favorite Batman. I think it's great. I think the comic books are awesome.
Yeah.
I love them. I have all of the graphic novels from him because I enjoy those. But I've read other Batmans and I go, I get Batman's story, but it's not for me. And and same thing with Avengers. There's 100 different thousand. I don't know how many there, but there's a huge number of different Avengers comic books out there, all written, all drawn, all different stories. That's great. That's the beauty about cinema too, is that these movies
Interpretation.
might not be exactly because honestly, when you were talking about Thor and how your interpretation of Thor and everything, I didn't get that because I can't relate to those kind of situations. But when you said, I go, Jesus, that's amazing, because these movies are connecting to people in ways that they maybe thought they could touch or maybe hint on, but now. Like, here's your story. Now there's probably someone out there who saw Thor and had different perspective than you and me completely, and had a different kind of draw that.
Well, see, that's the reason I said something in the first place, because a lot of the perspective I saw was they're making him fat and they're just playing it off as a joke.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try and make sure that people didn't just see it as that, because
It's a struggle.
it's not truly taking what they're okay. So I don't think it's truly appreciating what they're trying to do with the character and taking it for what it is. They're just again, they see the jokes, they see these fat, and they see that, you know, they're playing jokes off of, and I don't mind the jokes later on. Obviously, some of the jokes are literally just there, like the Lebowski joke, stuff like
it's
that.
Great. And again, there's people who never saw Lebowski and will get no idea what that is, and that's great. And I'm like, I love it because I get the little hidden thing and the little gem, and that's, again, the director or producer or someone involved saying, you know what, we're going to make this little nod to this because we love this so much in the cinema that's out there.
People were overshadowing that one key moment with the comedy, when I was like, no, but if you watch the comedy up to that and then that turning point, that's where you see it. And then there's comedy after that, but it's more spread out. Mm-hmm. But there's that definite, like, click right at that moment.
You could see it in his face.
And how ironic that they chose his character to be the one that struggled.
Well,
because there's others that could have, from Infinity War, could have melted down as well. But the fact that he was like the Adonis, and it was easier to show him.
Here's why they chose him, because it was the struggle that he was trying to kill Thanos right at the end of Infinity Wars.
He was the last chance.
He missed, and Thanos took off like everything. So then he comes in and then he kills Thanos. Now he has to live with the idea that because he missed the shot, kind of thing, you had all these people die. He killed Thanos. Nothing changed. He now has to live with the whole thing on his shoulders, and there was no one else in that arc that would be able to do that same thing. So now he's got to live with that the rest of his life and deal with that. And his only real way that he could do it is by kind of drown himself out of it.
He just withdrew that, and that's what I said. Veteran, you know, a lot of times I withdrew, I drank, I got fat, I made horrible jokes, you know, and I saw that it was crazy.
Yeah,
but it was really well done.
I loved it.
So let me switch gears again.
Yeah.
All right, because I'm trying to think of the things that are the most attention right now.
And I think Cap picking up.
So we have
Thor's hammer was awesome. The reason he couldn't do it in Ultron is because he still knew about Bucky killing Iron Man's parents, and so that was the only thing stopping him. That's why it only budged. Now, see, the Russos came out and said he was just being nice to Thor, not doing it in front of people. I'm like, that's kind of bullshit. Why would you just let it off like that?
I wouldn't buy that.
So I like the it'd be cool because, and then, you know, in Age of Ultron, they does that, and then the Bucky finds out, and after that, the secret's out. So now he's got nothing inside of him that's holding him back. Yeah. And look at that, he picked up the hammer.
Oh, that was such a good scene.
It was amazing.
So obviously, at Endgame, we talked about what's the other thing?
You're talking about Airsoft.
I'm going all the way back to the thing. In high school, I got bullied for liking the stuff I like, the comic books and stuff like that. The one thing that I love here is that I know at least some of the people that bully me for liking this stuff are paying to see these movies.
Okay.
So the people that bully me for loving this stuff are directly funding my dreams coming true.
Hey, I can appreciate
So all the people that bully, watch out, because, you know, this shit wasn't popular when I was coming up, but it sure is popular now. And guess what? You're the fucking bandwagon fan. Yeah. You know, I don't care.
I've been there since day one. Yeah. Exactly.
I'll welcome new fans, but
so what about Game of Thrones? Did you ever watch Game of Thrones?
I haven't, and
none of it.
None of it, okay. And I think it's hilarious watching the meltdown because I know about it. I've kept track of it because I'm not worried about spoilers. Like, I know all the stuff that happens. I know I've watched YouTube videos about the different seasons.
But you've never seen any episodes? Or?
Never watched an episode. I was waiting. I think it's on Netflix now.
No. HBO Go.
Oh, HBO Go.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to get it is
get it all together and just watch it all at once.
Yeah.
HBO.
That's something that I feel like I would want to binge.
Yeah.
But I
binge
love
in
watching
like maybe
it.
3 months, 4 months, like that, because it's
a long time. I know. I'm not saying like in a day.
Daily? Oh,
no. I'm just saying I wanted to be able to watch it all at once and
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
to
yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious because I posted something on Facebook that was all you Game of Thrones nerds clearly never watched Dexter drive his boat into a hurricane with his dead sister on board after giving his child to a known serial killer to run off and become a lumberjack.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about bad writing to a series finale, yeah. I get it. We get it, guys. It happens all the time. It's fun to watch the meltdown when you're not on the inside. That's one of the reasons I'm glad I didn't watch it, because I'm on the outside of this meltdown, and it's hilarious.
It's like
to
we
me.
were talking about bad writing. It's like the good writers will write themselves in a corner and somehow write themselves out.
Yeah.
But bad writers will write themselves in the corner like
Time travel.
dream sequence and or aliens. Done.
It was the Dallas. It was all a dream.
Yeah, it's like
Or,
instead
what
of
was
trying
that?
to write yourself out of the
Not,
jam.
was that Dallas was who shot Jr.
There's always
no, it's Dallas. It was like
JR,
yeah,
it's
it
always-
was a dream. It
bad
was all
writing
a
is like,
dream.
well, it's either aliens come down or it's like a Twilight Zone where it was like an experiment and we're being monitored. Whatever.
For me, I watch Game of Thrones. I'm a fan. I'm not a
Yeah.
religious fan.
I
I
love dragons and
Um,
giants and shit, so I
my-
will watch it. I just
my
didn't watch it
end
now.
all be all and everything. Honestly, the most vocal people out there are always going to be the haters out there. I actually thoroughly enjoyed the end series, the cinematics, the stuff that goes on, the things behind the scenes. I get it. That maybe was a little rushed, but also at the same time,
Did you enjoy the Starbucks cup?
I didn't even notice it. Honestly, I didn't even notice it. I didn't even notice the water bottles as well. Because if you're sitting there trying to pick that apart, you're doing it wrong.
Well, like
You-
that
you should
car
not-
in the background in Lord of the Rings or whatever that drives by.
There's
like,
a car.
there's a
I
lot-
didn't.
there's a
I
lot
never
of
noticed
like the
it.
Shire scene in the beginning. There's a car that
There's a
drives
lot of
off in the
movies.
background.
but-
Oh yeah.
But again, if you're not into it, watching the actual thing you're supposed to be watching, and you're looking for those mistakes, you're doing it wrong.
It's like watching a magician trying to figure out the trick instead of just enjoying the trick.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah,
Exactly.
I get it.
Because in the end, the amount of it was almost 3 months to
But what I
film one of the
understood was
episodes.
that there was like people were super disappointed with the actual conclusion of storylines that have been building and stuff. So the cinematics people, I didn't hear people saying it wasn't done well.
No,
So should
it
we,
was like the
because if he's gonna
haven't
watch it
seen it.
eventually,
I don't want to ruin anything for him, but for
I
me,
already know that the one quiet dude becomes king
Okay,
and
so-
people
So,
die
for me-
and people
for me,
get crushed and
I
know
thought it was
that's
very
fine.
poetic on a lot of
Okay.
the way it's ended. I thought the
I
people
like
who
having different views. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, I think the way
Respect is great.
I think the way it all ended made a lot of sense. I think there was a lot of things that maybe people wanted out of it because they were so
there
invested.
were so many possibilities they could go. Right.
Honestly, like if they were just doing fan service, I think I would have hated it more. And I think because of the choices that they made and the end all, it's no happy ending. Not everyone gets what you want.
Let me ask. Here's a question: of any series ending, last final episode, whoever ever likes the season ending,
Well,
is there ever a good one?
It's a struggle because when it ends, you go, oh, this thing that I really love is no more. And oh wait, did it end the way I wanted it? Did it tie up
So
everything?
what series has ended where most of the people, yeah, that was an awesome ending. We love the way it ended. Nobody ever does.
Sopranos. No, I'm just kidding.
Even then, right? Yeah.
The amount of people that were pissed at that.
I thought my cable went out.
Right.
Like what? Oh shit!
What happened? Honestly, that's the thing though.
Shocking.
I would not be. I don't think there's anything wrong with the ending. I don't think there are things that are. Yes, was it rushed? Yeah. Would I love to see 5 more seasons of it? Yeah, but so would everybody else, kind of thing. And so
I'd say I would have. I mean, I don't want to say I wouldn't be like, oh. To me, it was like, right? It was more like you have all these characters that you've kind of followed, this and that, whatever. And if they haven't died before that last episode, you want closure with them, and dramatic closure, other than
You want your end
other
game.
than hey, okay, see you later.
You want your end game. You want your tie-ups. You want your conclusion.
It's like look, we've all these years we either battled, whatever. Like, okay, all right, I'll see you later. Well, good luck. I'm gonna head that way. You head that way. Okay, see ya.
And then it says
that's
credits.
kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
Here's
like
the only-
credits. Yeah, right.
here's the thing with Endgame though. There was conclusions.
Oh, yeah.
But there's still so much
Oh,
more,
well,
and
yeah.
we know we're getting more.
Yeah.
So you can't.
I
like,
was
it's-
okay with that.
true.
I was okay with
it's
Endgame
not
as far
an
as
end
that.
of
Yeah,
Avengers.
that's
It's
true.
not
That's
an
not
end.
fair.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. I can't compare them because the funny part is we.
But you
watched-
still want those conclusions that you know are going to happen.
We
Like
did-
you want it done well, though.
Yeah.
Like how bad would it have sucked? Like they almost he wasn't supposed to say I am Iron Man when he snapped his finger.
Oh, I loved it.
Right?
I loved
Can you
it.
imagine that
I was
scene
like,
in just silence?
Yeah.
That would. I mean, yeah, we would just accept it because that's the only thing we would know.
Yeah.
But my God, and that was such a last minute thing.
Yeah.
That was literally weeks before the final wrap up that they're like, hey, add this in. And it was one of the editors or something. Like, and they added it in when he said it, and it was poetic.
Yeah.
That was the first line at the end of his movie that started this universe.
And I completely forgot
You know?
about him using that line at the very beginning. I'm thinking he just went for the freaking song "I Am Iron," and that's where I went. I'm thinking, I'm like, wait, no, that means so much
Yeah.
more. I thought it was great. No, it was good, but
And I did like the clanging at the very end of the credits. Did you wait that long? The very end of the end game credits. Did you wait for an after credit scene?
We waited till the end of the trailer because they played Spider-Man at the end. There was more.
Oh, I waited all the way literally through the black credits scrolling.
Yeah, we waited.
And at the very, very end, there's nothing. And as the Marvel
sound.
logo comes on, it's just the clanging from him in the. It sounds like from him in the cave in the very first. It's just ding, ding.
Oh, I didn't even notice
ding, like
that.
3 or 4 times, and it just stops. And that's
I didn't
it.
even notice that because we
It's
stayed all the way-
such a subtle, beautiful thing.
You heard
we
people
stayed all the way to the
react
end,
to
and
it.
they
Oh, yeah.
had the Spider-Man into the Universe trailer or into the Spider.
See, that didn't happen
Not
in mine.
Spider-Verse. The Far Away from Home.
That didn't.
Right.
That
I
played at
saw
the
it.
end, and they
Yeah, see, I
did
didn't see
the
that.
thing that they said.
That's crazy.
He came on screen before the movie, and he says, "We don't want to spoil anything about Endgame."
Oh, I
for
saw
you."
that, but I didn't see that in theaters.
And then
That's
and
crazy.
then it went to the very end of the movie, and we waited to the very end of credits, and then it played, and then lights came on, nothing was on the screen.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't-
When the Marvel, it's real subtle. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, okay.
If people were talking, you might not have heard it.
Okay, yeah.
It's literally when the Marvel logo comes up, and it's just in the
to hear it,
background
yeah.
for like 2 or 3 bangs, and then just that's it. But it's just nice, subtle little, just beautiful
homage.
send-off.
What's your camera
Yeah.
doing up there?
So,
Is it a SAG
it's
camera?
blinking. No, we're good.
Okay.
We're still
Okay.
recording. They're both still recording. We're still fine.
All
Yeah, we got. I am gonna start wrapping this up a little bit, but I do want to end up here with one of our. Sonny loves this guy Tim Ferriss. He's got some really good questions here,
yeah.
and some of the questions I have, and I like to ask people and kind of just give a couple.
Is this like the inside the actor's studio? Like, what's your favorite curse word?
No.
That is a good.
Yeah, I know
that's
what you're
a-
talking about. Yeah.
I mean,
love that.
I guess it's
I
kind
love
of.
hearing people's answers.
It's
like
kind
that.
of like that because so here's the one I was gonna
Yeah.
ask you is like.
Yeah.
How has a failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? And like, do you have a favorite failure of your own?
Specific.
that's a good question.
Well, it's weird because I have spanning failures. But the key is the moment of turnaround. So like I guess relating it to something else we were talking about. So throughout most junior high and all high school, I was bullied a lot. So that to me, because I wasn't standing up for myself, I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what to say back. I just took it and I just dealt with it the best I could. I just whatever. I had my group of friends and we were all kind of the outcast type of people. But I just kind of dealt with it at the time. But then my senior year of high school, I got weights and conditioning as a class, and I put on 45 pounds of muscle, and I went from 155 pounds to 195 pounds.
So
I was
transformation.
squatting 600 pounds.
Jeez.
My max bench at the time was like 260, and I was usually working around right around 200 as my workout weight. I was deadlifting 300 pounds, and I was curling 100 pounds, like just one barbell, just the straight barbell. And then I was still running because I was always like rollerblade, hockey, skateboarding, biking, running. I did all that stuff prior to work. So my legs have always, and martial arts. I started martial arts when I was 16. And that's the other thing. That was another key. Martial arts helped out a lot.
Okay.
Confidence
normally
started
does
building
that, yeah.
with
Yeah.
martial arts.
Highly recommend.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Martial arts did a lot for me. And but my senior year, I just went through this transformation, and it was this turning point where I started realizing that people would come up and they would look like they were going to say something. People that would come to me before and actually say something, and then they would stop and change direction. And it was super subtle, but I just was like, he was coming to me, and then he changed his mind. And I started realizing that it was because I was getting way bigger than these guys because I was already 6'2", and now I stacked 45 pounds of muscle onto my frame in a school year. And I stopped caring about what people said.
I was gonna say
that was the
more about
confidence.
an attitude.
It was everything. It was physically getting in shape, so it was my physical confidence, and then it was the martial arts, so it was my focus confidence,
Like mental.
and
kind of stuff,
then
yeah.
it was literally seeing both of those together, just immediately without people even knowing, because people didn't know I took martial arts. I didn't tell people because the whole thing was the moment you start telling people, they're going to test you.
Sure.
And you don't do that. Martial arts is defensive. You don't go out looking for shit. So I didn't tell people. So once those two started working in a way that was almost magical, the mental and emotional wellness came in to where I was like, oh, fuck it. Look at them. They're nothing. They're just scared. Like, that's how I started looking at these guys. And it was great. The moment they were more scared in my eyes than I was of them, like they weren't scared of me. They were just scared. They were just scared people. And it was sad. I pitied
cool,
them.
yeah.
When and I'm not pitying them in a bad way. I felt sympathy.
Yeah.
I felt bad that and it's true that whatever was hurting them that they could not face, that they were using me as a punching bag for, I felt so bad for them.
Well, that's kids, and that's
it is,
how
and kids are brutal. But I really, and I'm glad I went through all that because
It's made you who you are.
I don't get me wrong, I've made horrible choices in my life. I've been an asshole to people, but when it comes down to like the real bare bones of stuff, that's where one of the reasons I kind of resonate with the very first Captain America movie when he's still skinny. That whole speech with him and the doctor the night before the surgery, just remember where you came. Like I was that fucking skinny kid, and then I got big. Like, and it was a life changer on many levels for me. But the biggest thing was just being able to stop worrying about other people. And I obviously have my beard now, and I shave my head, which I didn't then. I had this weird skater haircut at the time where I parted it here and Tony Hawked it. Fucking threw it all the way over. Yeah, it was bad. My senior year, I started parting it down the middle. Oh, I had long hair down to my shoulders at one point, but it was super thin. I didn't have a lot. I never had a lot of hair. But then, like, I was kind of a late bloomer. Like, my beard didn't start coming in until my mid-20s, like, real well. And it
I'm
really,
still working
really
on mine. I can't get
seriously
mine to
didn't
go.
start. Honestly, like, this didn't start until, like, almost into my 30s. Like, it was crazy. Like, this just kind of came out of fucking nowhere.
So I have hope.
But, I mean, also, it might have been developing, but also a lot of that time I was in the military, so I was shaving every day.
Okay.
I didn't have a chance to grow it out. So it might have, but I went from 23 having a goatee to doing 9 years in the military. I was shaving almost every day, and then I got out of the military, and I grew this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where'd this come from? Like, I haven't seen this before.
What
But,
else?
so I walk around, and when I'm thinking in my own little bubble, like when I'm not worried about anyone else, I look like this. Like I'm looking right now. And you know what that does? It makes people get out of your way. And I love that. And I am not a mean person. The moment you say something, I love a girl I know, the first time she met me, I was walking up to where I lived at the time. I just got into the car, I was walking up, and I was in that train of thought. And she told me this later. I was walking up, and she's like, "You were the scariest thing I had ever seen. And then your daughter ran into you and jumped into your arms, and you turned into the biggest teddy bear I've ever seen." So the moment you talk to me, it breaks. But if you have no reason to talk to me and I have no reason to talk to you,
Just on the
it
surface.
won't break.
You're in your own-
And I'm not saying I'm mean to people, but it's nice that people kind of move.
Yeah.
And I just don't have to worry
It's like
about it.
driving a big truck on the
And I'm
freeway.
not saying I'm a badass. I'm not. I've heard a Navy SEAL describe his military career as a C. I'm an F then, probably. Fuck, I don't even know. Like, it's shit. If a Navy SEAL saying what he did was a C, all right, well, I probably failed out of school. So I'm not a badass or anything. I'm very selective with people in my life, and I don't talk to strangers. I don't like people. I like individuals. I don't like people.
Yeah,
So that's
I
why
agree.
when you talk to me and I break, you'll see me. But until then, if you have no reason, there's just no reason to approach me.
Yeah.
Why the fuck do I want you in my bubble? You know, and I've dealt with shit from the military with crowds. Like I still got still kind of iffy in crowds. I've gotten a lot better. But honestly, breaking out of that shell in high school was really good, and realizing that shit goes away after high school.
Sure, you grow up,
And that's one of the things I try and tell my kids now. Like
it's temporary.
It is, and it
Don't let it
doesn't
define
matter.
you.
That's the thing too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're all trying to figure it out too.
And you know what's great too, and I'm not saying it because I still have a lot of friends that live in that area, but most of the people that gave me shit still live in that little cow town area, and I've traveled the world. I mean, it may not the best travels. I mean, I was getting shot at a few times, but I have traveled the world. I've been to places that I never thought I would be.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I never said I'd join the military. In fact, I said the complete opposite. I said I never would join the military. And at 23,
never
there
say
I was
never.
going through Marine Corps boot camp.
What else you got, Derek?
Well, I mean,
It's all
one of the
right.
last.
So, yeah,
no,
so
one of the
breaking
last
through
things,
that bully window was great.
I think one of the last things, if you had a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions, what would it say?
If you had a billboard that you could right next to the freeway, what would it say?
It doesn't matter.
I guess it depends on what message
Yeah.
you would like, and then what
You know,
message. How would you say
well,
it?
it needs to be something that anyone can understand.
Sure, applies to.
And it can't be, God, this world is so broken, and it's so sad that you have to think so hard about something when before you could just probably think of this positive message off the top of your head. But some days, it just seems like no matter what you say, someone's going to take it wrong.
Well, sometimes I think the messages don't have to be positive. I think that's a thing that out there in the world that we all want it to be positive. We all want it to be happy-go-lucky, but I think there's sometimes
you need to be honest,
like
whatever
being
it is.
honest, and
Just
sometimes
honest.
that's not the most positive thing. I mean,
As
there's
long as
been
it comes from a good place, that's
Yeah.
all that matters.
Okay, so I'm not going to be original because this
and
is
that's okay. That doesn't have
that is
nothing
fine.
says it
And
has
this
to be.
is
Yeah.
fine.
Comes
And
to
I don't know
mind.
if you guys saw it, but this really, because of things I've gone through, and honestly, this should be this. No one can object to this billboard being up. I think they should put a billboard up. I don't know if you guys saw the Stephen Colbert interview with Keanu Reeves.
No, I haven't got a chance.
At the very end of this interview,
I saw the clip.
Okay,
Yeah.
at the very
Yeah,
end
yeah,
of this interview, after talking about all this fun stuff about John Wick and stuff, he goes, "What do you think happens when we die, Keanu Reeves?"
Yeah.
And Keanu Reeves takes a deep breath and says, "I know the people that love us will miss us."
Yeah.
And so I think people need to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
We have one shot.
We will be
Why
missed.
are we wasting all this time fighting each other?
Yeah.
When you're gone, the people still here are going to keep fighting this stuff, and they're going to have to deal with the problems of missing you.
Yeah.
Why can't we just love each other now so that we're just focused on the positive and the good when we do miss you?
Maybe it says
You know?
you will be missed.
Just it doesn't matter who you are, white, black, Christian, Muslim. At some point,
Someone's
someone
gonna
will
miss
miss you
you.
when
Yeah.
you're gone.
Yeah.
It does not matter. And I don't want to be controversial, but even the people who do evil things and die,
They're missed.
Still miss
Yeah.
them.
someone knows.
They had a mother.
Someone knows a good side of that person
That's
that they
deep
will
down. Yeah.
miss.
Yeah.
And you have. That's why I think anyone can learn from that. You really need to remember that.
Yeah.
Hey, we got one shot at this world.
Yeah.
And
Make the most of it.
Don't get a redo.
Yeah.
You rarely get a redo. So
Make the most of it.
you really have to, yeah. So I hate to steal that, but it was such a brilliant thing that he said. And
Yeah.
just for, oh my God, off the top of his head, Jesus Christ, that was just.
It was honest and from the heart.
It was.
Yeah.
And that's just, that's all you have to worry about.
Yeah.
All
Make your
reports.
life good so that, when people do miss you, it's that positive stuff. Everyone should be at your funeral going, you know what? He was good for this, or it shouldn't be like, oh, he still owes me money, or
I like
he shouldn't, it shouldn't be.
I like there's the certain cultures that have their funerals, and it's not a crying, mournful thing.
Yeah,
It's a
Irish.
I want mine to
celebration.
be
The
a
Irish.
party. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to wake. I'm not religious,
It's a
but I want a
celebration.
wake.
Yeah.
I want a
be a
Irish
life- a
wake.
life
I want
celebration.
music
Yeah.
and jokes and laughter. I want it to be fun.
Yeah.
I want you
Absolutely.
to celebrate what I wanted. Like,
Yeah.
I want to have fun. I don't want to be
people
sad.
crying.
Don't be sad.
Yeah, there'll be some crying, but hey,
Yeah, of course, cry.
Think about
Get it
the
out.
good
Yeah.
times.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cry over the good things that you'll miss, But yeah, I just I'm just tired of people just worrying about shit that doesn't need to be worried about.
Yeah, I get it.
When it comes down to it, there's so many things you just don't have to worry about in this world that people worry about
Just
way
don't
too
matter, yeah.
fucking much.
So I want to give people a chance to know, like, if they've still stuck around with us here on the show. And
I'm a talker. I
Yeah,
forgot
well,
to warn you guys
it's
about
fine.
that. Well, he
It-
knows.
It's actually it's not our longest episode, so you haven't
Damn it.
broken that record.
I was gonna come in all Alex Jones, the gay frogs.
But if they want
Damn
to
it.
catch up on what you're doing, see what you're going on, and I know you're going to be at our boot camp, so you can definitely
Yeah.
visit Tac City Airsoft.
Definitely.
.com
I'm gonna
and
be
see the
playing
boot camp
some
schedule
more.
for kids. But where can they
Yeah.
find more on you?
Well, right now, mainly
Or
my
Thor.
Instagram. Yeah, mainly my Instagram. Now, when I worked for Airsplat, I branched off and created because the pages, the social media pages they owned were theirs.
Yeah.
So I created ones that I owned so that, I was building my Thor brand because it was just, at the time, it was just something I could control. And then it built into like, oh, I can kind of use this when I'm not with Airsplat. Like when I did
Yep.
a lot of times after I left Airsplat, I did some boot camps and I was just just Thor, whatever.
So what are your Instagrams? And
So
your,
it's Mighty Thor _USMC on Instagram. It's Mighty Thor USMC on Facebook and Mighty Thor _USMC.
do you have
on
an email
Twitter.
that they get? If people
Yeah,
are-
Mighty Thor USMC at gmail.com.
Yeah,
I went
perfect.
real solid. It's real
Easy to
easy to
remember.
remember.
That
yeah.
works. Yeah, that works.
I'm a sticky
All right.
notes and finger tied type of person, so I just make shit real simple. Yeah, so it's all the same. And honestly, if you just follow the Instagram, that's where I post, and it just shoots out to all the other things, like I was saying. So it's really Instagram's the one I post actively on.
Yeah.
I still respond to stuff on Facebook because I get the notifications, and I think I respond fairly quickly.
Right,
Except for one comment, it's
Well,
so funny.
you
This
gotta
little
be
thing that
careful when
this just happened. For some reason, a company liked a picture of me when I was at SC Village like 6 years ago when I was still playing, and I just went to it to see what picture that they liked, and then I scrolled through the comments and I saw a comment that I hadn't answered, and so I answered it, and the guy's like, "Did you seriously just answer my question like 5 years later?" And I'm like, "Yep." I'm like, sometimes I don't catch them, man, but when I catch them, I answer them. Like it may not be right away, but I try and be active with the people that engage me. I try and comment and like, and I try and post fun stuff. It's somewhat personal, somewhat just what I'm doing in my life professionally.
But with the
and-
boot camps, you're gonna be a little bit getting a lot more comments.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, I never cared. I just I try and post positive stuff on there.
Yeah,
a lot
sure.
of positive things on there.
So boot camp for
it's
kids.
it's open positive. So it might be like, hey, pull your head out of your ass. It's that type of positive. A little bit of tough love, but there's I try and motivate people to be positive and to have a good good life, because again, the bad stuff doesn't last forever. It's work, but you can't get over it, and it doesn't last.
There's enough of that
so.
floating around anyway. So
So, guys, thank you guys for joining us here on Tac City Unfiltered Episode 7 with our guest, Thor. If we offended you, please let us know in the comment section down below. If you liked what you guys heard today, please like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube-y things. Ring the bell, I think, is one of the things you're supposed to do as well.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But definitely, guys, thank you for joining us. I've been producer Derek. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
see you.